Okay, we're on.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Irvington Planning Board meeting of December 3rd, 2025. By introduction, so there's Sarah Palermo. She's the gatekeeper for Zoom. Ed Marin, he's the building inspector for the village. Doug Hahn, he's the consultant engineer for the village. Marianne Stessich, she's the village attorney. Elaine, Elaine Du is the traffic consultant for one of the projects. We have Lori Davidowitz on the board, and the Ellicott, I'm Cesar Manfredi, Mike Smith, and Mike Bufuco. The first order of business is the minutes of November 5th, 2025. Marianne, good. Everybody have any comments on the minutes? All good?
Yes.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes of November 5th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No objections. This is unrelated to the planning board, but, this Sunday is December 7th. Remember, December 7th, 1941, President Roosevelt said a day which will live in infamy. So you can remember, try to remember those sailors and citizens. Okay. The order for this evening. Number one is 13 Mattapan Lane. Number two is Mercy University, 555 Broadway. Number three is 3 Langdon Avenue. Number 4 is 6 Gray Rock Terrace. Number 5 is 2 Roland Road. And number 6 is 76 North Broadway, Palmer, or Maxine. All right, starting with number 1, it's 2025-24, 13 Mattapan Lane. That's it.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Can you hear me?
Yep. We got you.
Great. Thank you all. Can I share my screen with you?
Yes, go right ahead. Just be brief, because the only reason you're back is because of the wetlands permit.
Right. So we received comments from Han Engineering and issued a letter responding to each of the points. I think the general feeling, at least from our office, is that there's, de minimis, if any, any kind of actual effect on the wetlands. And, with proper site protection, there should be no disturbance that affects anything.
Yes, just in case anybody hasn't seen it, just bring up the site plan if you could. You don't have to go through it. This is a new deck and a bigger patio.
Yeah.
Doug, Ed, we got the permit for the wetland.
Everything looked good.
Everything looked good. Okay. Any comment from the board?
No comment.
I have none.
Have none.
No, I have none. No comments.
Sarah, anybody on Zoom?
Nobody's raising their hand to speak, and there are no comments in the chat.
Anybody in the room wishing to opine on this? The answer was no. Okay. Mary Ann, you have a resolution?
Whereas in November 2025, Monica Weisberg and Norman Warner applied for site development plan approval to construct a deck at their property at 13 Mattapan Lane. Those proposed construction activities are within 100 feet of a wetland, therefore requiring a freshwater wetlands permit. On engineering reviewed the plans, and then a memo dated November 3rd identified a number of issues which were mostly addressed in subsequent submission. Whereas Han reviewed applicant's application for a freshwater wetlands permit, and then a memorandum dated November 28th found that the application complies with the requirements of such permit. The planning board held a public hearing on the application on November 5th and December 3rd. type 2 action under secret and therefore requires no environmental review. Now therefore be it resolved, planning board grants the application for freshwater wetlands permit along with site development plan approval for the improvements reflected in the drawings entitled Deck Weisberg Residence prepared by Stephen Seacon, and then they're enumerated, subject to complying with the items in Han's November 28, 2025 memorandum.
Any comment on the resolution? I make a motion to approve the resolution as read.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. That was pretty straightforward, and just pay particular attention to erosion because the ponds down there, the erosion control has to be monitored. Any heavy rain can wash it out.
Will do.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you all. Have a good evening.
All right, the second on the list is Mercy College. Mercy University, sorry, 2025-13, 555 Broadway. I went to Manhattan College, and I'm having trouble with Manhattan University, so.
It'll always be Manhattan.
To me, well,
Also a university. Good evening, Linda Whitehead, firm of McCullough Goldberger and Stout here on behalf of Mercy University. At a prior meeting, it was discussed about possibly bifurcating the approval for just the parking lot work. Since the I&I research is still going on to approve the field house. So this evening, we would like you to consider that the issues related to the parking lot have all been addressed. The university would very much like to be able to move ahead with the parking lot portion of the project because they need to build the new parking before they can start on the field house in any event. So that's what we would like to request this evening.
yes, we got that. But as long as we're here, there's some other things. The fire truck issue going, Mike, Ed? Fire truck, I mean, we're gonna do.
They're all set with the fire truck.
Oh, good. So it's truly just a sewer issue.
That's really the sewer issue.
Right, and there was a question on the gate, a motorized gate versus a hand gate. You have an answer to that? Because you said that the Dobbs Ferry wanted a motorized gate and we're asking for a hand-driven gate.
Yeah,
That's been changed to a manual lockable gate.
Yeah, the concern was we want to limit the use on Hudson Avenue. Hudson Avenue, that somebody had easy access with a remote. We don't want the added entryway, secret entryway from Hudson and increase the traffic on Hudson.
Of course.
It will be better than the metal horse that's there now. Okay. All right. I think, and you took care of, we're going to do a resolution. And just for everybody that was concerned for the Eagles Nest, there was a response from New York State DEC saying they did not need a permit because the applicant proposed acoustic paneling during the construction of the parking lot. So there was no permit needed, and the Department of Environmental Conservation, DEC, indicated so in a letter, which is that part of the record? Should we make that? Is that in the public document?
It's referring the resolution, whether it was put on.
It should be uploaded.
It was attached to our submission
Yeah,
letter
so
as
it's
part of the
uploaded.
submission, so yes.
So if anybody wants to look at it, it's on the website. Okay. You have anything else to add?
well, just one thing. Tom
You only
Simmons,
allow one thing.
Tom Simmons from Mercy University.
He has no voice. so-
I know that we appreciate you considering this separate piece. The parking lot does include the road that goes into there and the related site work around on those pages. You're referring to it just as a parking lot, but it's that upper portion of work that's happening.
The
Just
roadway
confirming
work.
that.
That's our understanding.
Okay,
But the sheets of plans that are in your resolution, do they include what
Yeah,
you
but it
just said?
says so part of the driveway. That's why I sent it earlier to see whether there was anything that needed to be added.
That's
So
what mentions the driveway.
It's it's
I-
the parking lot and the road work, the road
It's not-
improvements.
it's that upper
when I
section.
get to the point in the
Okay.
resolution, I'll add in roadway. We'll have to pen
if I could add, there's a very easy way to bifurcate the two separate phases. It's east of Verrazano Hall and
I think
west
she
of
mentions
Verrazano
that.
Hall.
She mentions.
Okay, so then it's clear.
That really covers, if you say the east of Verrazano Hall includes the roadway.
All right, and I'm glad you mentioned bifurcating, but there's also an element of segmentation. And we want to make sure, to articulate that. We realize this might be considered segmentation, but we're doing it on purpose to accommodate the construction cycle of something that can be built, because you'll need the parking lot, I guess, to
take
build the
the-
building. So this is, we're doing this on purpose, it's not getting slipped by. And I think we're done with that. Mary Ann, Oh. comments? Do you have any comment?
No comment.
I have none. No comments.
Mike,
No comments.
Sarah, any Zoom?
Nobody's raising their hand to speak and there were no comments in the chat.
There's nobody else in the room. Okay. Good. Mary Ann, you have a resolution?
Yeah, I do. And this is a little different. This one has a title. It says the decision approving the new parking lot. It's distinct, you know, when we're pulling it out of the file, so you won't confuse it with the other one. Well, you might want to sit down. This is really long.
I've already read it.
Whereas in April 2025, Mercy University applied for amended site development plan approval to construct a two-story field house on the site of the existing tennis courts and to redevelop the existing parking lot on the Irvington portion of the campus. And whereas the Mercy campus is located in the village's Reed Preservation Overlay District. And whereas at the April 2nd planning board meeting, both the planning board and neighboring property owners expressed concern about the proposed field house affecting views of the Hudson River from the aqueduct. And whereas at the May 7th, 2025 planning board meeting, Thomas Simmons, Mercy's vice president for operations and facilities, and Mercy's architect discussed two additional possible locations for the field house, one of which was west of Verrazano Hall facing the river. And whereas before the June planning board meeting, Mercy installed balloons to simulate the location of the originally proposed field house between Verrazano Hall and the aqueduct. And whereas at the June 4th, 2025 planning board meeting, Mercy's representatives asked the planning board whether it preferred the originally proposed location demonstrated by balloons, the location between Verrazano Hall and the river, and the planning board suggested that Mercy meet with the neighbors and decide on a location that would be most acceptable to the neighbors. And whereas at the July 2nd, 2025 planning board meeting, Mercy proposed locating the 26,140 square foot, 46 foot high field house on the west side of Verrazano Hall, facing the Hudson River, on the site of two parking lots and outdoor sports courts. Create a new open green space with tiered seating between the two buildings, relocating the 120 parking spaces and outdoor courts to the location of the existing tennis courts, and providing enhanced pedestrian safety and vehicular circulation. And which the proposed improvements would require variances from the zoning board of appeals for exceeding permitted height, exceeding permitted coverage, encroaching into the rear yard setback, and reducing the size of the required parking spaces, all of which were granted by the CBA on August 19th. Han Engineering reviewed the plans and in memoranda dated March 1st, May 5th, June 2nd, June 30th, October 6th, November 3rd, and December 2nd, listed a number of items, many of which were addressed to Han's satisfaction in subsequent submissions, but several of which concerned stormwater and the sewer inflow and infiltration offset, and I'm still under review. And when Suzanne Nolan, the village's landscape consultant, reviewed the plans and in memoranda dated March 28th, May 5th, June 4th, June 20th, August 29th, and October 6th, made a number of recommendations which were addressed to her satisfaction. And when the planning board held a public hearing on the application on April 2nd, May 7th, June 4th, July 2nd, October 8th, and December 2nd. And whereas it was brought to the planning board's attention that there's a bald eagle's nest on the property across the street from the Mercy campus, and whereas Mercy on July 2nd, 2025 filed a request for jurisdictional determination with the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, and DEC responded in a letter dated November 4th that since the project includes a proposal to use a form of sound barrier during construction, quote, "The project is not anticipated to have an impact on bald eagles, and a DEC endangered and threatened species incidental take permit is not required," end quote. And whereas because it will take some more time for the stormwater and I issues to be resolved.
Mary Ann, speak into the microphone.
Okay.
Get closer to the microphone.
Whereas because it will take some more time for the stormwater and I issues to be resolved, and because the new parking lot must be constructed before construction of the field house can begin, Mercy requested the planning board approve so much of the project as relates to the new parking lot on the site of the existing tennis courts. And which the planning board does not ordinarily grant partial approvals, it recognizes the uniqueness of Mercy's request, and which the outstanding issues do not affect the proposed parking lot, and which the planning board's determined the proposed parking lot will not have an impact on the view of any impact on the view of the Hudson River from neighboring properties, and which construction of the parking lot is a type 2 action under secret. The rest of it is parking lot would be the type 2 under secret, and therefore requires no environmental review. Now therefore be it resolved, the planning board grants so much of the application for site development plan approval as relates solely to the new parking lot on the site of the existing tennis courts, including, and Lori, maybe you could add this in, the roadway to the lot. Okay. And then installation of required stormwater facilities, construction of the sound barrier, and installation of landscaping as reflected in the drawings entitled, and then the drawings are specified, the ones by Alloy Design and the ones by Dominic Pilla Associates, the engineers. Subject to the following conditions. One, this approval is only for the parking lot, roadway to the lot. You see where I am, Lori? Yeah. Roadway to the lot and the sound barrier and landscape. Oh God, this is poor English. I'll rewrite it. And send it to you. This approval is only for the parking lot, roadway to the lot, the sound barrier and landscaping related to the parking lot. 2, Mercy must comply with items 3 and 4 in High's December 2nd, 2025 memorandum. And 3, for a period of 5 years following this resolution, Mercy shall not propose nor construct any additional buildings or parking in the open area north and east of the existing tennis courts. That was a resolution to comply with, a condition that the neighbors asked for. And that's it.
Okay, any comments on the wording of the resolution? Okay. Okay, make a motion to approve the resolution I've read. Second. Favor?
Aye.
Okay. Let's get the signing ceremony done and you can pick up a copy of it before you leave. Just hold on. Don't run out the door yet.
Thank you for your support on this.
It worked out pretty well. I think everybody seemed happy with it. I look at it, you expanded your campus without adding any new land. You want a copy of my pen? So,
Wouldn't want to take that away from you.
moving up along. That was number 2. Number 3, 3 Langdon Avenue. That's 2025-29. Don't leave.
Oh, yes.
Okay, good evening and
Good luck.
good luck with the sewer line.
Happy holidays, everyone.
The sewer is gonna be, I hope it works out, because it's a good project. We have, 3 Langdon up, Sarah.
while we're waiting, we were told that the sound system is fine, that everyone has to speak directly into the microphone. Lean in. You can't talk with them sideways. You can't talk to them away. You can't talk to them without their heads or. That's what we were told. They're fine. We're told.
Good evening.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. This is Michael Picarello, architect, representing Jill Foley.
Okay,
We have a single-family house. We're looking to do an addition to the house. Can I share my screen?
yes, please, with this, the site plan.
You see my screen?
Yes,
You can, great. So we're proposing a single-story addition to expand an existing master bedroom, master closet, master bathroom, adding a laundry, and a front deck or a porch with a pergola. And that will require two variances. We have an existing non-conforming front yard, so we'll need a front yard variance for the expansion of their single-family home. And then we have an existing non-conforming building coverage. The existing building coverage is already at 23.78%. We're proposing 25.6%. So we need those two zoning variances to continue on with our project.
we have elevations that were unclear.
The elevation,
Elevations of I'm not sure if they're proposed or if that's existing.
these were proposed. You can see, if you can see the screen now.
It's hard to discern.
Sorry?
It's hard to figure out what you're doing.
Oh, the red dashed lines on my proposed elevations are the existing portions that are being removed. And we are proposing to expand that front face, which faces the road, towards the driveway or to the left, to expand that space. So, fairly clear on the floor plan that we are looking to expand a small portion of that first floor and then create a front porch and pergola.
It's not clear what it's going to look like in the final analysis. So you
It's,
could, other than the red line, if you could put in rendering of what it's going to look like. I'm not sure that shows that.
this elevation shows what that new front will look like.
You seeing it, Mike?
I don't. I don't know if anybody else does. I mean,
Yes.
we've seen in the past what additions look like, and this doesn't seem to tell us what it's gonna look like when it's done.
It seems a little like shorthand to me and not being
Shorthand? This is
Yeah.
This is an architectural elevation. I'm not sure what the shorthand is.
I can't see the new addition. I mean, you show red lines of where it's going to be.
The red lines are showing show the existing lines of the existing house.
Oh, okay.
So the new portions of the house, also hatched in, are shown with basically shorthand. Basically, we're doing an addition to the left side of the front part of the house. This is going to be, this is an all new part of the house with a new roof over it. The front elevation is going to be expanded with a new roof over it. And the right side of the house will be continued the same, but basically the roof will get taller because the total addition will get wider.
I think, Mark, do you have anything that shows that view, but the existing house, not just a penciled in line over the proposed? I think that's it's difficult to see what it looks like now and what it will look like. What you're giving us is what it will look like, and you've drawn a line in over.
The photograph below that one, it shows the front of the house.
This is the existing front. What we're
Oh,
proposing is to continue the elevation, keeping in line with the existing house. To the left, we'd fill this part in and then put a new roof over the whole thing.
Show your cursor on the picture on the top where the flag is.
Yep. So we're filling in this portion of the inside of this house. This part here is being filled in with new first floor, and then a new roof is going up and over the whole thing. Up and over this whole thing with basically a new roof.
In addition to the addition, does it get closer to the front road?
No,
Does everything
it's not.
get pushed?
It stays in line with the existing house, the existing non-conforming portions. It stays in line with the existing house. So this is an existing house. It stays in line with the existing house. Here's my one-story addition right there. It's in line. I'm not asking for more than what's already there. They have an existing non-conforming front yard setback. I'm at 36.04 feet where 50 is required. So this is my setback line of what is the required setback at 50 feet.
Bring back the elevation picture.
What
All right, leave that picture. Now, where the front door is going to be the push out of the new story, correct?
Correct. Yes.
And you're going to take off the roof that's there and extend it out?
I'm gonna remove this roof and I'm gonna encapsulate the entire first floor in a new roof that follows the same roof line, comes up and comes over.
What does that do to the valley?
Basically the valley moves. The valley will move to the left. It'll move here.
The ridge line will be raised, Caesar, to be.
Correct. The ridge line moves over and raises up. And if you look at if you look at the so this is my new roof plan. Basically the ridge is going to move up, and then this is my new valley coming across.
Oh, okay. Okay. And the coverage is going up.
The coverage is going up by 90. It's 109 square feet, and we're taking away some asphalt. So our new coverage number is going to go up by 92 square feet. My client this afternoon told me he'd be willing to take out part of a parking area to the left of the garage, which will get me another approximately 250 square feet of coverage. On this over here where this truck is parked, there's some asphalt. He's willing to remove that asphalt if it helps the cause. It's only going to be 250 square feet though.
Caesar, remember
sorry?
this, the rear patio, gravel area, and parking area documented.
Yeah.
So his coverage calculations are gonna change.
Yeah. Coverage calculations are going to change. They're going to go up because, as Ed just pointed out, that you have a patio and gravel area and parking area, where that car is to the left. They're all undocumented coverage.
Well,
excuse me, were they included in the calculations?
They're included in the
Yes.
coverage, but they're gonna become proposed instead of existing, so the
Right.
total number stays the same. But
Yeah, so
his variance will be larger.
why would it be larger?
Your request to document, your total
This
number
is-
won't change.
My site plan, my site diagram reflects the what was recently surveyed out there.
I understand, but your files don't show the patio that large, they don't show the gravel area, and they don't show the parking area, which are all coverage. So your proposed coverage number will change, your total number won't change, but your proposed number will change. To include all the undocumented features.
What's undocumented, when we look at a project, anything that's undocumented is counted as new.
Oh, fine. You're just gonna change the category. Fine.
Excuse me?
You're just
You
changing
better-
the category from existing to new.
I wasn't clear how you said it.
You're just changing it's semantics. You're changing the category from what I'm calling existing, you're calling new.
Well, yes, that's true.
No. It's gonna be proposed.
Oh, right.
Fine, yeah, again, whatever, yes, fine, whatever you want to call it, but it's, the numbers are correct. The amount of coverage is correct, unfortunately.
Well, the point is that the proposal is larger than just what you're building. It's the proposal, the
that.
proposed coverage includes the undocumented.
Yes,
So
I'm aware of
the
that.
ask is bigger.
Well, the ask is for 25.6% coverage, where 12 is required.
Did you include the gravel area in the proposed?
But go to the gravel area in the proposed.
Did you get our memo?
Yeah, I saw the memo, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so take a look at number one. If you have any questions, you can call me.
All right, I will.
Because I think it is off a little bit, so we'll have to see.
Okay.
Ed,
Yes.
the point you were making was that the variance doesn't cover the total number. That variance you asked for is for an additional amount of coverage. Is that the point you're making?
Two parts. Although the gravel area, I did not see in the coverage calculations. That's coverage, for one. So that will raise total coverage number over 2067. But his request for a variance is no longer 4%, 6%.
It's like 130 something.
So his request will be for a larger amount over existing, over allowable, is what I'm saying. Although the gross number doesn't change, except for the gravel area he's gonna have to add or remove. Does that make the help?
I think so.
It's a bigger ask.
Yeah.
It's just a bigger ask, which it's not an incidental request anymore. It's a serious
I just
request.
want to make sure the applicant understands that it's not just semantics, it actually changes the variance that they're asking for.
It's a percentage of over allowable.
Okay, if you're still confused about the coverage, I suggest you give Ed, the building inspector, a call to straighten out the coverage issue. And Ed, as far as the FAR, those numbers need to be revised also.
It's in the memo as well. The numbers just weren't consistent. I think he's still well under FAR,
But the numbers should, you're under on, you don't need a variance on FAR, but the numbers are not correct. Need to be adjusted.
I'll take a look at that.
And Doug, did you have comments on the missing information in the site plan?
Yeah.
You gotta
Yes.
look at that for what's missing in the site plan.
Yes, I saw those comments.
And we, having been out there and we're not, there's a big tree in front of your house, in front of the client's house. And we're not sure how you're going to build this without killing the tree.
I'm not getting any closer to the tree.
Well, when you construction equipment or digging or
Parking, storage,
parking,
equipment.
storage.
Well, we could certainly provide tree protection, and it's a small addition. I could even suggest that's hand dug.
You got it. And you gotta put tree protection around that tree,
Of course, yes.
because it makes a big difference as if the tree comes down, you get into a whole landscape plan. So you're
No,
gonna
no,
have
I don't think, the intention is not for the tree to come down. That the intention is to save the tree.
Well, we have a landscape architect and you make the proposal, how you're gonna protect it, and digging will help. and tree protection, not just, padding around the tree. There's a root zone that has to be protected so that people don't drive and compact the roots.
Yes, we can have an area that is not to be disturbed.
Given the amount of coverage, which includes the undocumented, we'd like to see a neighborhood chart. Doug, you had that in the,
I included, and I could send you an example
Thank you. That'd be great.
neighborhood chart means you're comparing your coverage that you're asking for to existing coverage in the neighborhood. This is, when we look at it and the ZBA looks at it, we don't want to be, we don't like to see this to be 10 times higher than the biggest coverage in the neighborhood.
Understood.
See if it's a sore thumb in the neighborhood or just a run-of-the-mill situation. And drainage, Doug, you had drainage questions?
I mentioned it in there, and then we'll see what the areas are and all that stuff. And we asked to see what's going on with the existing. I can't tell if it's dumping down onto the grass from here or not. But that's included, so we can address that.
You understand the drainage issue?
I do. I'll certainly have, if I have questions, I'll certainly call. I mean, right now we're looking at a, total, disturbance of 92 square feet. I was hoping to stay under the, any requirements for stormwater management. Again, I can reduce it by another 250 square feet to stay well under. I'll actually be a negative for impervious surfaces. So
Take a look, and like I said before, anything that is undocumented is technically proposed.
yeah, yes, I understand. So if that's the case, then there's no way for me to reduce it enough to stay out of the stormwater management.
Okay. You have anything else? Let me ask the board, any comments?
I just have two things. One, I want to be clear, the roof height it's getting a little bit taller, is that correct?
It's getting a couple of inches taller.
Okay, so we're fine with that, Doug, you looked at the.
Yeah. It's
On one story.
it's four. It's 4 inches taller, but I'm well under 35 feet.
Okay, and what we were just talking about, the tree that you're gonna be careful about.
Yep.
I would also suggest that with the investment in this renovation, the homeowner consider some additional landscaping in front of the house.
I will let them know.
Where's the new front door gonna be? Same place, but part of the extended, pullout?
Yeah, it's basically the same. It's the inside corner. It's the same location. So a very similar location, not the same, similar. So front door will be basically also in the inside corner. That's the whole reason for the deck and the pergola, to give them a sense of a front porch.
Okay. Yeah,
I have no questions.
Mike Smith,
I have nothing.
Mike Bufuko,
Nothing for me.
Sarah, anybody on Zoom?
Nobody's raising their hand to speak and there are no comments in the chat.
Okay, do you understand everything you need to do?
Correct. Am I going to be referred to the zoning board?
Not now.
Okay.
We have to have the numbers correct before we send it. This board takes care of that for the zoning.
Okay.
You need correct numbers because we don't want to be remiss in sending out colleagues at the ZBA the wrong numbers or numbers that need to be revolved. Okay,
Okay.
thank you very much.
Excuse me. What's the due date for the next meeting?
Sarah?
Actually, that's next schedule, so I don't have that information yet, but I will have it.
We'll post it by the end of the week.
In general, it's 2 weeks before the planning board.
Yes.
So, no,
We're
but,
moving the meeting though.
that, deadline's either Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, so we'll have the schedule posted soon.
Is the next planning board meeting moving?
It's either gonna be January 7th or the 14th, depending on feedback.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you.
Number 4, 2025-28, 6 Gray Rock Terrace.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you guys doing? I hope you had a good holiday. James Krapp from Studio Park, representing Matt Rashid and Jessica Aronella at 6 Gray Rock Terrace. We're here before you today for a addition and also seeking variances, some for pre-existing non-conforming conditions, and also for the changes proposed in the addition. The bulk of the changes occur on the second floor, but there is some change to coverage, rear decks, patios, etc. And I'll walk you through that now, if that's okay.
Sure.
Sure. So just to familiarize you with this, this is the site plan. 6 Gray Rock Terrace in Cedar Ridge off Harriman. North is to the right, and most of the drawings that you're going to be looking at, just for frame of reference, and street is to the south. So this is the existing. I'll show you a couple quick photos just to give you orientation. Again, north, so this is the front of the street. Tax maps you don't need. So you can see it's a 1.5-story building, but the garage is exposed and underneath, so there's a series of steps up to the front. The bulk of the changes are going to be to the second floor. There's a minor addition on the first floor. And I'll walk you through the site a little bit more now. So this is our architectural submission. You can see the existing conditions again. And I'll go straight into, I guess I'll go into the details more or less, because the site diagram kind of tells the story. So previously sorry, let me go backwards and explain one thing to you first, because this is pretty clear. So the existing property setback, the existing building was always over the front setback in a minor portion. So we're requesting a variance for the pre-existing and for the work that's going to be above it. It's essentially 3 foot to 3 foot 11 back from the 30-foot setback. So that's one request that we're making this evening. The other requests, and I'll go back to the diagram and explain them in a bit more detail, are for coverage. Now, we're reducing the existing coverage just barely, but it was pre-existing over on coverage when the property was purchased almost 10 plus years ago. So what we're proposing is the removal of an existing large impervious concrete patio and a bunch of miscellaneous site steps and other concrete portions, sidewalks, etc., that are not being used, to be replaced with a smaller patio and a exposed deck. Oops, sorry, I skipped forward there. Let me go back. So just to explain the numbers a little bit more, again, the existing coverage was over on day one by, geez. Sorry. The existing coverage was over on day one. We're exchanging things, but the coverage is 340 square feet, 41 square feet over allowable. We're bringing it back to 340 square feet, which is 16% above. In relationship to the neighborhood comparison that you can see here, it's no change based upon what you see. It doesn't change in relationship to any other property within most of Gray Rock Terrace, Cedar Lawn, and Hillside. So it's pretty much in keeping with what is there. the other change that we are asked, or the other variance that we are requesting is a variance in FAR. Previously, we were under, but the proposed second floor addition, which is these areas in blue, and I can walk you through the architecture a little bit more, will be requesting what is essentially 103 square feet in total over FAR, which is only 3% greater than allowable, which is also in keeping with the neighborhood. I can walk you through the architectural portion a little bit more. So you can see here pretty clearly, first floor interior demolition doesn't have a lot to do with the request we're making today, but fairly significant second floor demolition, taking a lot of the roof off to prepare for 2 new dormers and a secondary ridge. Here you can see the demo as well. So taking off these portions of the roof and extending this roof up, redoing siding, some window changes, etc. You can see this area here is the small new proposed portion on the first floor and the new deck that is replacing the old. And then again, the changes to the second floor that were outlined in blue before. And then you can see here's the proposed on the street side. So this is what the public is mostly seeing, which is basically these 2 new dormers and this addition here. That's the bulk of it, but obviously there's changes to the rear as well. And that's the bulk of what we're requesting today.
On the front,
Yep.
The elevation changes, the height there.
Talking to the mic, please.
I can't get any closer.
We're still way under the 35-foot requirement.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that it's higher, but it's within the height limitations, and
Yes.
okay. Do you have anything else?
No, we received the comments from Han and the board. Most of them are very easy for us to reconcile. We were hoping to avoid dealing with stormwater management as we were reducing coverage, and we thought that this was a minimal request. I don't know what definitively changed that, but I was intrigued by that.
Our regulations say if you're altering the roof, you have to address it.
No matter. Okay.
Take a look through what we referenced, that section, and then.
Okay. Well, we have engineers ready to go, and we'll proceed as needed. So our hope is that today we can at least get referred to the ZBA, so that we can hopefully get the bulk massing and the variances approved while we wait for that stormwater management plan and a deep hole test, which is hard to schedule. So,
Okay, we'll go through any comments from the board and public. Doug, you have a handle on the drainage, and
Yeah,
you understand the drainage?
yes, I understand what's requested of us. We just need to go through the process.
Any comment from the board?
No comment. I just appreciate your thoroughness with taking us through the drawings.
No problem.
I have no comments.
Yes, I'd like to comment on that too. We can clearly see what it's going to look like. Thank you.
We try.
Mike?
Did you pull up the neighborhood comparison?
Yep, I can show you again. Oh, sorry. So let me zoom in. So you can see it's pretty dense on Gray Rock. So we're not changing our coverage, so there's kind of no change within the neighborhood. And it kind of sits in the higher middle in relationship to existing coverages. Almost 50% of the neighborhood is overbuilt, or has been overbuilt. So, we're trying to stay within what the existing is.
Okay. That is a tight neighborhood up there. Mike Bufuco?
No questions.
Sarah? Anybody on Zoom?
Nobody's raising their hand to speak, and there are no comments in the chat.
Anybody in person? Okay. Yes, you can go to the ZBA to seek your variances and then come back and they're relative, you know, there's a lot of them, and there's some of them are, I mean, a little bit more than normal. So we'd like to see what the ZBA has to say before we do a resolution on it. So
Of course,
you're welcome to go to the ZBA and get that straightened out.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? You have any questions on what you're required?
No, it was, the comments were pretty clear. If we have
Okay.
any questions, we'll reach out.
And be thankful there's no floodplain on this one. Some of the other
No,
ones.
no, it's a little less challenging than others, but it's got its
At
own
least-
things to deal with.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem. Have a good evening.
Yeah.
Happy holidays.
Next, number 5, 2025-27. That's 2 Rolling Road.
Good evening.
Good evening. We can hear you.
Okay, I will share my screen. Matt Behrens, I'm the architect for this application for the Hogan residence at 2 Roland Road. I'm showing the site plan. Now what the Hogans are proposing to do is to add a in-ground hot tub. The overall dimensions are 12 by 12. Which includes a 2-foot coping. The inside dimension of the hot tub will be 8 by 8. And then extending this pool patio to connect the hot tub to the existing patio that's right here, which is adjacent to the house. There are a few variances required, one for lot coverage. We're increasing the coverage by about 282 square feet, which includes the size of the pool, the patio addition, and also for an additional equipment pad for the new hot tub. In addition to that, we are also within 20 feet of the setback requirement here. But the idea is that we are not planning to go past the line of the existing pool. So I can show that a little bit better, at least in terms of how we plan to just make sure that we're not making the existing the existing
Encroachment?
thing to make it any worse than what it currently is. So sorry, I couldn't think of the right word. But I will jump to the site detail here. Just blow this up. So as I said, it's a 12 by 12. This is the existing in-ground pool with an existing pool patio. The coverage is 144 square feet for the pool and the patio, and then an additional 32 square feet for the equipment pad. Again, 282 square feet of proposed additional coverage. Lastly, we did receive the comments from Doug's team. I'm going through those now. They seem pretty straightforward. They will definitely be addressed. I think there's a question I will reach out to Doug about how to manage the drainage situation. So I'll make sure we have that covered with Doug. I'll have a conversation with him offline. So with that, we would like to get to ZBA so we can seek our variances for the coverage and for that rear yard setback.
Now, there are some issues we'd like to ask you about.
Sure.
Well, it was a year and a half ago, you were here, not you, but maybe not you.
It was me.
The applicant was here to get the coverage variance for the undocumented patio for the pool.
Yep.
And you need a variance for that. Now you're here again for a second variance. One one would suspect that's segmenting where if you had asked for both the undocumented and the proposed pool, it'd be a bigger number than a couple of applications with smaller numbers, but if you ask for them all at once, it's a big number. And that's why segmenting is frowned upon or
Yeah, I understand. That application a year and a half ago was mostly related to this driveway extension. And while we were proposing that driveway extension on this eastern part of the property, it was discovered that the pool had the patio. The pool was documented and correct. It was the patio that they had extended undocumented. At the time, they weren't planning to do the hot tub, otherwise we would have included it. But it was something that came up again, about a year ago, that they wanted to add this.
yeah, that's what's that's what's the little bit of a wrinkle in us saying, tough luck, you're segmenting, you're coming at us a little at a time, death by 1,000 cuts. And that it was picked up because of the driveway and that was undocumented. And puts a little bit of a wrinkle in the segmenting issue. And the other issue is you're again in the side yard setback by 3 feet. And is there any reason you didn't pull it back 3 feet closer to the house?
Well, I guess we could do that, and that could be a concession perhaps with the zoning board. But the idea was to keep it cohesive with the existing patio, and again not to exceed the impended. I can't think of that word. To keep this line where the edge of the pool is not.
We saw that. We put a superimposed a line in that it's not any worse than what you already have.
Right.
Which is again a saving from at least this board's point of view. Not that egregious. But what would be egregious if next year you come in for a tennis court or another patio?
I promise I won't.
Oops, we forgot to add this to last time.
Well,
oops doesn't count.
We could make that a condition on the approval. That we won't.
Okay. Any comments? So
What's the purpose of that 48 square foot concrete wall?
This existing one, I think at one point it might have been a retaining wall. There's really nothing there. It predates the bulk of the property improvements. It's pretty old. Even though it is poured concrete, it's a pretty old wall. It looks like it may have at one point served as some kind of a retaining wall, but it's no longer doing anything. It's still there.
I just wonder if it's worth removing that because that's 48 square feet. That you'll be, in exchange for more for the hot tub area.
Sure. I mean, we're willing to do some trade-offs. Absolutely.
okay. Yeah.
I have no questions at this point.
Mike Smith,
I have no questions.
Fuku.
Nothing for me.
Sarah, anything in the
Nobody's raising their hand to speak, and there were no comments in the chat.
everybody in the room? Anybody for this? I presume everybody is for the future project. All right, we're willing, and we discussed this. I think there's no objection, Rick, going to the ZBA. We discussed this, and as Lori indicated, it may be a good idea since the wall is useless. It may help you in the ZBA. We're okay with you going to the ZBA, and this is in the gray area of segmenting and coming back with another intrusion into the side yard.
Intrusion, that's the word. Thank you.
Well, I got my Roget's thesaurus up here. So why don't you do that, and we'll see you next time.
Great.
Is there
I will do that.
anything else? Anything else in the engineering side, Doug?
Nothing.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Good luck at the ZBA, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Number 6, 2024-18, 76 North Broadway, Maxon Farmer. We'll take a short 2-minute break. The applicant gets organized.
And if you're here to represent the application on Zoom, if you could hit the raise hand button so I can promote the panelists.
Well, we estimated that pretty good. We said 8 o'clock.
Yeah. Said telling out to be late. I said she's never late.
While we're waiting for the return, there's some paper material on the, where is it, Sarah? You may want to pick it up part of the presentation. We're waiting for one of our board members to come back. Did you just finish dinner?
Sorry?
Did you just finish dinner?
We hadn't even time for anything. We'll get there.
Okay, we're back, and as I said, this is 76 North Broadway, Axon Property, Varma, and the applicant is settled in. You're on.
Good evening, Catherine Galantis, Silverberg Galantis, LLC for the applicant, Pharma RE Development. With me in the room tonight is Peter Gato Jr. from the Project Architecture architecture firm, and Rocco Varma from the applicant. On Zoom should be Carlito Holtz and Peter Gregory from DTS Provident, as well as Paul DeVito from Stonefield, the landscape architect. So we submitted revised architectural plans and took in accordance with comments we heard from the board. We provided a stripped down plan that you could really see the significant architectural detail of the building, and also landscape view plans from Broadway and Strawberry Lane on day 1 and year 18. And day 1, there's significant landscaping for the project. Peter will go through that. We also tonight brought we submitted a revised material plan, but tonight have additional pictures to share with the board of the materials. Turn it over to Peter to go through that.
When you do the landscape plan,
I'm having trouble hearing.
You're gonna have to come up closer. I apologize.
Can't be amplified a little bit.
There's plenty of seats right up here.
when you do the landscape plan, I forgot what I was gonna ask. Oh, the renderings for the landscape plan, for the landscaping in your renderings. I hope it's not just an artist's rendition, that it's, the rendering is, conforms with what Susan Nolan said you should have trees and shrubs where. Okay. Not just an artist painting what trees look like.
No, we'll talk about that after.
Peter, can you speak up a little bit, please?
Yes, I'll talk about that afterwards. When we get to the slide, but it's a great point, Chair. So with us also on the call will be the landscape architect for the group, and they've been working closely with Susan Nolan and Change the Trees. And then what their updated plan was submitted to you was also reflected in a 2D and a 3D form in our architecture renderings.
The other thing I want to make clear, because there was a pre-commission comment, and they're working through Susan Nolan, and it's one direction now that the pre-commission is working through Susan Nolan, and that I guess the final word on trees is will come through Susan Nolan, because the tree commission is working through them. This way, we avoid two different directions on trees, because the tree commission looks at it a little bit differently than a development site.
Yes, I think that we are in fact doing that. As recently as this week, they were discussing some other aspects to it, but they're definitely working with Susan Nolan and the tree committee. Absolutely.
Work through Susan Nolan.
Yes, through Susan Nolan.
Okay, go ahead.
So let's see. Again, just to I'm going to go through the plans again just briefly, and I'll highlight the changes from last time, the updated set you see this time today. Again, the building is an L-shaped configuration, and it's essentially unchanged in this graphic format in terms of the building and the coverage and the site. The site plan. The only thing that was changed here slightly was a little bit of the pathway towards the front, towards Broadway, and everything else is exactly as last time. L-shaped building you see sort of come this way, and the turnaround lot up here, surface parking and underground access down below. This is a close-up of the.
Excuse me, now you, and is the fire truck thing settled, or are we still working on it?
We have a lot of fire department stuff to work on. It's all solvable because.
Okay, so some of this may change.
That,
Some of what we're looking at may change.
so. Yes, the answer is yes.
Okay.
There's coverage issues. There's some issues on the lower road. There's a
Whatever.
lot of the stuff, striping and signage. And
Yeah, okay.
after those two things, it's all miscellaneous.
You're aware of that?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. We're working with Doug on those technical issues, and as I said, we're going to work through them. A lot of them are solvable now. So a lot of them can be resolved in the building construction submission separate building permit. Signage, striping, we're going to obviously incorporate those. We're working with the different levels of the comments received.
Caesar, can I ask, on that previous drawing, does it show the walkway to the rock light?
It did.
Say that again. Pardon me.
Does it show the walkway to the hawk light?
it shows this walkway up in the front. This is the walkway that was there.
Does that walkway meet ADA compliance for pitch? It's a little steep in the front by the road.
This one does, yes.
Sure about that?
Well, Peter Gregory could speak on, but he looked at it in terms of topo. But if not, I think this one does, yes.
Yeah, I think within the setback, just using it as a reference
Spoke
point.
to him about that. I think it was a little steep.
It's a little steep, it's from
Yeah,
the
I
setback
think it
line
was.
to the new driveway.
This section here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we can take a little look.
We essentially modified that to not
Yeah,
have.
you're gonna have to speak into the microphone. I apologize. Really close.
Not in the at home.
We got someone checking constantly.
We essentially modified that drive to not align with a resident driveway, but we can adjust that to meet the ADA compliance. And that's the reason that the driveways, I mean, the path is shown there as opposed to the hawk signal, because that's a variance required.
But that sidewalk is not yet finalized because there's the option of the sidewalk to Strawberry Corner with the hawk light.
So that's correct. So between this, the two options of the crossing, we'll have to work those out for ADA. But essentially, even with the fire department and police comments, we don't envision the plan changing dramatically at all from what you see in front of you. Underground section, parking garage, as you see here, is essentially unchanged from last submission. Number of spaces, stairs, egress, recycling, garbage collection, the pathway to kind of show how things move inside the space and outside. The ground floor is school and the shaded areas. It's in the top corner here. So it's a different kind of gray, it's darker gray. The lighter, whiter boxes, which have different variations on them, reflect the residential apartments, which are also some moderate and different types of moderate affordable housing. And the playgrounds in front of the school directly connected to the access outside, and parking connected to the center section. A little walkway connected. It goes one entrance right to the residential, one entrance to the school. The landscape all around blocking the building. And then we go up to the second floor. Again, the gray is the school and has direct access. Since there's a level change to the backyard, this is a level area, direct access to the backyard. And the white section and the hatch area, this is the residential area too. I just want to make two quick notes. One is that there's a boundary here, which is with a fire rated boundary for safety, building code, and also element of separation between the school and the residents. And there's a couple of doors and hallways and such that we modified based on some fire comments that kind of allow the access to be code compliant with egress and connections. So we're working on that. Also, secondary note is that there's a pathway connecting around the back of the building, directly access to the school. It turns the corner running north, east-west at this point, east down to west, and that connects. And this pathway runs around the perimeter of the building, as well as you see the section down below. The entire perimeter is access from different locations as part of the fire direction. And the third floor is all residential. Fourth floor is unfinished roof on some parts and roof terrace on some other parts with landscape edges and buffers on the perimeter of the building. Section essentially is unchanged. You see the front top section is sort of cut through the short wing, driveway access and the flat area coming in here. And then the lower section showing the length of the building, how it's kind of built into the hill, and you see the underground garage fully submerged underneath. The renderings we changed this a little bit. We sort of improved them to break down the mass even further from last time. So what we did was have a variation of the colors, variation of the forms, and change the roof line to make it a little more residential in terms of feel, and also break up the volumes so that these appear as almost shadow lines in between the white building aspects. So it's a series of sort of more of a village concept look that there's couple big houses here and some broken up smaller areas here. The different materials and variation will, the lightness of the roof will help communicate that graphically.
On that picture,
Yeah.
the gray area is separating the white areas. Are these set back or they're in the same?
There's a slight level, there's a slight difference in change. There will be a shadow line. So it's not a completely perpendicular plane. And this is the Strawberry Lane view here. And this is the view from Broadway's if you're coming right up to the building from the hill. In the lower second story, two-story portions on the right side, they see the building gradually steps back and steps over and steps to the left. And again, we chose to break up the massing as well with the gray offset in between the white and alleviating the roofscape to give some relief and some air and some light to permeate those in between spots. Again, to break up, to make it seem like a couple of little buildings versus one larger building.
And the back side, the east side, what's parallel to Broadway, how many feet is that from Broadway?
The back elevation,
Yeah.
this elevation here.
Yeah.
Let's see the exact number. It is. So this is 125 feet. This line here, this is 250 feet. This is 300 feet, and another 75 feet. So it's almost about 400 feet away from the road.
Okay.
So it's a soccer field and a half.
What are the blanks? What's the black space? Like the white and the gray, you explain.
This?
What's black? Yeah.
This area. This is actually there's a window that's a little balcony. It's just a door. It's a door and railing.
Oh.
There's a railing in front of the two doors as opposed to a window. So this is the Strawberry Broadway, and then the other two elevations. This is the other east-west elevation, the northern section. Same idea, same concept. White broken up with some gray areas. The longer leg is right here, and then it comes down. You see it step down towards Broadway on the right side. And this is what we call the back of the building. Again, because of topography, it's only 2 stories in height. And we're breaking up the windows and such with the offset with the gray inserts. So we submitted this and I have some other photos beyond this that kind of help explain a little bit. So we have 2 color choices, the white and gray we spoke about, dark aluminum windows. There will be some sill window coursing, water coursing sealed details of some of the buildings. There's a balcony in the middle. Example, the railing we designed so it's a lot of light and air can get kind of go through it. And this is a building that has these hardy materials, fiber cement panels on the building. And below, I found this to kind of illustrate a little bit what the roof scape would be. So it is that tapered roof, and it's only about 3 or 4 feet in height. And the rest of it sits hiding, it's taking the place of a railing in a sense. So instead of just a railing all around the building, we have a sort of roof scape, which is more conducive, I think, to the residential nature of the neighborhood. But it serves a purpose also as providing safety height from when you're standing on the rooftop. Give a little setback from the actual building edge, allows a chance to have a little buffer of landscaping, and then provides a little screening from inside the roof deck to the actual outside of the building. And just to kind of so there's a request, I think, just to show a little more of this building and built areas. So this is a building using the same materials, low scale residential. It's another building using the same materials.
Excuse me, the white, is that actual panels or is it?
It is.
Wire mesh with stucco on top?
No, these are actual panels. I have the actual panels right here. It passes around the actual fiber cement.
That size?
Sorry?
Are they that size?
No, that's just the sample.
Material sample.
Oh.
They come in variety of sizes, variety of patterns. So in terms of texture and also sort of deeper, more contemporary division of breaking up the facade versus just replicating a shingle. So here when you see this white building here, the same panels, you can see the actual score line. This is a panel right here. These rectangles are the panels. And there's the offset, same idea, windows and set inside those. And then one more just to kind of show the same idea. This is larger. This is a close up of a panel system with a dark, different kind of joint. And then it has the dark frame windows we're contemplating for this project. So I think this was in your packet. But this was an updated from last time. So this is the landscaping on day one. And this is so the larger green trees in the background are existing and neighboring. And the orange ones and some of the smaller ones inside here, those are the new plants.
And when you say day one, that the height is gonna look like that day one.
Yes, yes.
The height is gonna look like 20 years from now.
No. Actually, and I think one of the landscaping plans, if you had a chance to see the top right corner of the sheet, it's probably in the set, has a two charts. One is the height of the plant of the day on day one, which is about 18 feet. And then there's a 20 or a 30-year plan, which it's more than twice that height.
And all these plantings are consistent with planting plan or landscape plan acceptable to Susan Knoll. This is not, as I said before, some guy just painted in some.
Yeah. No, correct. These are actual plans approved by Susan Nolan, which are parallel in the plan, landscape plan submitted, which is parallel approved by Susan Nolan, reflected in the landscape, updated landscape.
Anything green is existing.
Correct. The lighter ones are definitely green here. Some of these are, let's see, this one is new, but most of the pines are existing. Yes. And then down below, this is the Broadway view, same idea. That we are keeping some of the trees in the front. There's some maples that Susan wants to exchange for a different type of tree, which we're going to do.
Yeah, she mentioned that the original was for, I think there were oaks, and you substituted them. She didn't like the substitute.
Right. So she suggested two kinds of maple, which are fine. Use those.
And a stone wall.
Yes.
That rendering there, it just shows a hole in the stone wall. Is there any plan to relocate the stone wall, like a scalloped stone wall, where the wall is replaced a little bit set back so you don't ruin the sight lines to get out?
That's a good question. So I have another rendering, maybe more clear to show that. But the wall, what's missing from the wall are designed to have the maximum sight lines entering and exiting the site.
Yeah.
So we incorporate that into the thinking of the view angle coming in and out of the site.
Yeah, I think the traffic people would like to see the sight lines.
Yes.
Unobstructed sight lines, so the wall doesn't. That's coming out of some of the streets now. The walls, you can't see a darn thing.
You know, that's true. Some of them are curved right to the edge of the road, and it prevents you from seeing. But they are less than 3 feet tall. They're pretty low. Actually, lower than I think 30 inches.
Well, I'm not sure if the walls that you're showing there were specific locations or just rendering.
No, this is accurate. When I say rendering, it's not just an artistic rendering like a facsimile. It's literally exactly lifted from the CAD files, the drawing.
Well, plans have to. We're not going to rely on that. We need plans that show where the walls can.
Oh, absolutely. So here's a close-up view of the rendering.
Oh, okay.
So this is kind of what you're referring to in terms of the fallback. So we have the low-scape grass here, and the width of the opening that's here is exactly that. So the sight lines, as you're coming down, you can kind of see a car here. As they queue up to come in and out the site, there will be enough sight lines to see north and south in either direction.
This is again actual.
Yeah, this is actual footage, actual rendering, actual scale, actual context, actual dimensions, trees, landscaping is also coordinated in these renderings also.
Those trees are per Susan Nolan. The location of those trees are not just random.
No, they're coordinated with Susan Nolan and the landscape plan, and also the civil underground utilities. So it's all three are coordinated.
Subsurface system.
Is this day one size trees or is this?
This is so. It's look the trees on the top. These are actually existing. So these are already day one right now. And these little guys, this is day one trees, yes. So they will get a little bit taller than this, but not too much. Yeah. So this is a view from Strawberry Lane. Again, the existing hedge that's there, existing stone wall, existing trees that are there. Some of these newer growth ones, these are the day one ones, kind of lower. And then one more coming in. Again, these existing and the hill behind. Some foliage coming in here, and some day one planting for some screening along the road in front of the building as you approach the upper drop off section. So we have, this is all the civil drawings. This section is a lighting drawing just to kind of show everything's dark sky compliant. Everything's going to be focused on the roads and walkways and not spill into the sky and the neighbors. And then we have all the rest of the civil drawings. So this is essentially unchanged. I know Peter Gregory is on. He's working with Doug in terms of all I&I and everything else, working with the city services and the county, and so this is unchanged. This is your kind of reference in case you needed it. Turning radiuses again illustrate a little bit to show the turning radiuses for the apparatus. Underground utilities. Ground. Topo. We have everything sort of worked out. And then landscape, as we said, so this is the updated one, and the blue areas circles are changes from the previous set last month. This is updated for today, again with Susan Nolan's blessing. Here's a little rendered area. This is just showing a little more coordination with the civil utilities, grading, planting, screening, where they are located.
Yeah, Peter, this is Paul DeVito with Stonefield.
Hey, Paul. We're talking about.
Yeah. If you want, I could walk the board through.
I think so.
Yeah, so the plan before everybody today, this is the updated landscape plan that incorporates Susan's comments from her last letter. Overall, we look to really add the layer of shrub and perennial plantings to kind of give this site the full kind of well-rounded look and feel. Overall, I know one of the comments was to reduce the overall trees on site that were proposed from in the last plan. So we looked to do that. We had a reduction of proposed shade trees, which allowed us to avoid planting within the critical root zones and also preserve the existing canopy. Also, by doing that, we were able to preserve the open campus-like lawn and preserve the existing look and feel of the site today, which is something that Susan was looking to incorporate. Shrubs and perennials along North Broadway frontage, we look to provide a year-round appeal and curb appeal, and kind of highlighted that right at the driveway entrance with ornamental grasses and perennials, just to provide, like, during the spring, the summer, and the fall, it's going to have different looks, textures, feels, colors, and that's reflected somewhat through the plant colors on this page. So just looking to have a lot of different color and interest for those site users. Along Strawberry Lane, we look to increase the or really add layers to the existing evergreen trees that are going to remain. And we did that by different sized evergreen shrubs and deciduous shrubs, and kind of stagger them and place them in between those existing trees. Along the north property line, we also look to enhance this buffering with evergreen shrubs, deciduous shrubs, and then also took a similar approach to the eastern property line with evergreen trees, just kind of rearranged things like a little bit, but for the most part kept that intent the same. So overall, we're continuing to work with Susan and the tree commission. And we look forward to doing that.
Okay.
Peter, you there? You want to give a quick update on civil end of things?
Just that I think we're going to continue to develop the plans to satisfy the fire chief's review and some of his concerns. We did prepare and we have submitted a signing and striping plan that documents the signs, indicates areas where striping and fire lanes would be located. And I think we've also been able to demonstrate that we can safely maneuver the apparatus into the property from North Broadway and have the ability to get back out again.
Ed?
I still haven't seen the access from Broadway to the lower parking lot ingress. And the egress, the truck backing out, drives over shoulders and curves. The overhang goes over. That shows it going. Go back to that plan. Go back to the access plan. That shows the ladder going up to the top, going around the circle, and then into the lower lot.
We've also prepared another plan that was prepared in response to the comments that came from the fire chief. It's not in this plan set.
Okay.
We've looked at that. You will see it.
I asked for it 3 months ago.
Okay. All right. We'll eventually see it, much like the other sidewalk. Okay. Move on. Keep in mind that it's missing. Go ahead. You got more?
That's it for now.
Okay. At the last meeting, I think it was the last meeting, there was concern about the build out to 27 and the calculations for traffic is the build out of 27. I think it's safe to assume this is not going to be finished. Even if we approved it today, it's not going to be. I mean, next month is 26. You're not going to finish this in a year. So we had a discussion about moving the build out 29. And Elaine, you want to explain that because you're better than I.
Sure. Do we want the applicant to discuss the construction logistics at all first, or?
We'll do this first.
Okay. So right now, the applicant, in terms of the traffic study, is using 2023 traffic volumes as their existing base, which is the data that AKRF had collected for a previous study. They had grown it to 2027 as a no-build analysis scenario. That is the future in 2027 without the project. Looking at the project, they layered on project-generated trips to develop the 2027 build condition. Typically speaking, with most traffic studies, if it's a year or so after the build year, we provide some leeway. It can be unusual to change a build year in terms of the analysis. We don't typically see that in traffic studies. We only see it if it is a large change in build year, 5 or more years, or if there is a change to the building program, or if you finish the EIS with the DEIS with one build year and you're just updating the FEIS and you're changing a few things and you want to update the build year at that point. In terms of the growth, and Carlito, please correct me if I'm wrong, you're using about 1% per year. And so if you're changing the build year from 2027 to 2029, that is 1% per year compounded. So more or less an additional 2% of
we use 2% per year.
2% per year. So 2% per year is pretty conservative.
Yeah.
So in that case, it would be 4% total growing from 2027 to 2029. Again, that's pretty conservative. We usually see growth rates of maybe about 1% in the area or lower. However, this is a conservative analysis in terms of changing the build year from 2027 to 2029. Again, it's unusual. I believe that, if this development is completed in 2028, you're still more or less covered. But ultimately, the decision is up to the board.
Yeah, and we had a discussion and we're looking for 2029 calculation for the traffic, which would include the 2% here. Nodding yes.
So yeah, I can't see my client, but if he's nodding yes, I guess we're amenable to providing
Well, I think the wrong guy was nodding yes.
All right. I mean, ultimately, we could provide that additional analysis. I guess I look at it as more of a sensitivity analysis in that the growth rate that we're already utilizing is extremely conservative based upon historical growth in the DOT data files for this section of North Broadway. But the reality of the situation is increasing the background growth may show less incremental impact by the proposed project, meaning if you're increasing kind of the denominator, but you're holding the numerator, so your percent increase actually goes down. But I think without having discuss it in detail or speaking to my client in detail about it, if he's amenable, I think we can prepare that updated analysis as well.
Well, Mike, you want to?
My only question was, earlier, did you use 2% growth rate from 2023 to through 2027 as opposed to 1%?
Yeah, we did almost essentially over an 8% growth. So what we were seeing was an increase of like 100 trips north and south on North Broadway in our background traffic. So I think we've been very conservative with the background growth. So I feel like we're maybe overly fixated on that 2027 year, but the background growth, I think, in my opinion, is going to cover you through 2029.
And ultimately, with traffic analysis, we're looking at the increment between no build and build for what an impact is and what we need to mitigate to. In this case, because you're not changing the increment, you're only changing the background, you ultimately may not see much of a change in terms of the actual impact itself. You likely will not see much change in terms of the mitigation measures or any of the results.
But what we had considered was from 2023 to 2027, Carlito's saying he's actually using twice the growth rate that we had been considering had been used. That's what I'm hearing, right?
Rocco, I saw you reaching for the mic. Did you have something to say?
I wanted to understand the reasoning, and I think Mike just explained it. I think you were looking at it. I think the board was in an assumption that we had a 1% growth rate, but we actually were conservative to begin with. So I wanted to understand the objective. And was it to just have some data to have? We can certainly expense more funds towards it to provide you more data, but I think our traffic report and study was fairly conservative to begin with.
I don't know. I'm trying to process that.
Maybe we'll hold off on that.
Yeah.
We're not settled with other things, so it just seems to have a build-out date of 27 when we know that's not going to happen in reality.
Give me approval tonight, you'll see.
Ariane, you have a resolution? No.
I mean, we could
Speak in the microphone, please.
We could essentially continue this into end of 2028, and we'll update it again.
That was another option. Let us think about that, because we were discussing this on the assumption that it was 1%, 2%. Those in a rather conservative point of view.
I understand the objective, but I think we started off with the right foot.
It's like, what's wrong with those people? It's not going to end in 27. It's going to end in 29. Why? What's the calculation for 27 when it's going to end in 29 or 28? But if everything is so conservative that there's a minimal, and I think our traffic consultant indicated that the number's minimal, but they could change.
I think the board was very diligent in making a lot of fail-safe with all these mitigation plans and the processes that was created above and beyond that. And we were far below the numbers that we.
That was another compelling point, the post-implementation plan. As you know, is rather vigorous.
We'll do it.
Okay. I think we'll have further discussion on that point for now.
Thank you.
Oh, and Kathy, you asked and sent letters to police, fire, ambulance, schools.
Yes.
You may have left out, or we didn't ask DPW.
So the school superintendent indicated she was not going to formally respond, but we believe our fiscal analysis addressed the capacity of the schools to handle the potential of 12 additional.
Was that verbal, we're not responding, or she?
That was
Oh, okay. All right, that's good. And you got the fire department, I don't know if you got ambulance and police.
Police sent us the police chief sent me a list of a long list of questions that I forwarded to them.
Kathy, we really can't.
Sorry, we got that list
Yeah.
from the police chief
Yes.
today, and we prepared a response to it. But a lot of it had to do with traffic issues that were
I
already.
know, yeah,
raised.
I told him that he sent me this long list. I said a lot of these things were resolved, but let them show you where it was resolved or how it was
Okay.
resolved.
Yes, we have responded to that.
And I
already.
assume you sent it to him by email?
No, we will tomorrow.
Yeah, email it to him and email it to us so we
Okay.
have it electronically.
Okay, and we had a recent letter, and I can't pronounce the woman's name. What the
Oh,
reason?
she's here.
Oh, I know who you are.
Her,
And,
her name isn't on the letter. It was.
Oh, it was, sorry.
we know where you live.
PDF
No.
attachment, that's why.
And the noise issue, I'll address this to you. We need to have restrictions on the use of the roof, hours. We don't want to see catering up there. Who's going to use it? Residents only. What's that? I mean, as president of the co-op, we have those kind of signs for our playgrounds and our rec rooms, residents only. And
So we did submit a noise report. Also, it was many months ago at this point. But
I want that translated into restrictions you're going to have on the roof. 9 o'clock to sunset, or who's going to use it, and no catering, or however one describes that. It's strictly for the residents.
Yes.
And you need to articulate that restriction clearly, so there's no misunderstanding when somebody wants to have a birthday party up there, balloons and fireworks and whatever.
Sure, I believe it's addressed in the noise, but we can certainly agree to that in the resolution as well.
Well, at some point, we're going to, if we get there ever, there'll be a permit for this project. Permit will have bullet point restrictions of various things. And this would be one of them. Okay. Let me go over some points here before we open it up.
But Caesar, could I have two
Oh, yeah,
two issues.
yeah.
Yeah, one is, are your affordable units, at least 80% of the size of the market rate units?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I just wanted to confirm that, because I just saw it, it looked like it, the ballpark of it looked like. And then I saw your parking study, but but I didn't see you deal with what the parking would be if there were special events at the school. Like, are they more likely to be at the day or at night or whatever? So I think you need to go into how you would handle parking for the holiday show or whatever.
If the school doesn't do events for the entire school population, it would do it for classrooms, and it's during school hours. It's not
Okay, so
beyond.
write that up. Or maybe you did, because there's a lot of stuff to go through. in my opinion,
No worries. We can reiterate. I think it was addressed in the last DTS traffic report, but we'll do it again.
Caesar, I have a question about DPW. Are they required to use a private service or it's all the town?
I don't know.
I'm just wondering because it's.
Ed, do you know the answer to that?
It's gonna be by design. If they want public service, they'll have to show us that the garbage truck can get up there. And have to meet the regulations of the DPW with the right size container, not gonna pick up small pails. They don't really have room for that, so most likely it'll be private, but that's something they'll decide and make an offer or sit with DPW and find an answer.
You'd have to, that's why DPW inadvertently left them out. They're a player in waste disposal.
There's gonna be maintenance questions with the crosswalk and stuff as well, that can happen.
I'm going to go through some preamble here. There's some issues that are pretty much behind us and we're moving on. The question on whether this is a school or not. And both of those, the second one was the new code, supremacy over the old code. And the school issue got to the trustees via a letter from Tony Altamira. And the code supremacy issue got to the trustees by a referral from me, the chairman of the planning board. And the mayor, past mayor, John Siegel, responded, and there's copies of the response on the back bench back there. And since there may be people listening on Zoom, I read it. At an advice of council session Wednesday night, the Board of Trustees discussed the issue you raised in your email below about whether the specific traffic standards in the MF-0 regulations, section 224-47, for what constitutes a significant traffic impact were intended to supersede the general standard for a special permit in section 224-8, parentheses 1. The relevant portion of section 224-8.e, parentheses 1 reads, the location and size of the proposed use, the nature and intensity of operations involved in or conducted in connection therewith, its site layout and its relation to access fees shall be such that both pedestrian and vehicular traffic to and from the use and the assembly of persons in connection therewith will not be hazardous or inconvenient to or incongruous with the residential district in which it is to be located or conflict with the normal traffic of the neighborhood. That's the subjective standard. And moving on, for the reasons stated in the village attorney's email dated November 6, 2025, which you included in your email below, the trustees and I all agree that the specific traffic impact standards were intended to replace the general standard quoted above. Additionally, as you may know, Anthony Altamura, in an email dated November 7, 2025, wrote to me, meaning the mayor, to ask that I direct the building inspector to issue a decision on whether the proposed Primrose School is a permitted use in the MF-0 zoning district. I do not intend to direct the building inspector. I understand that the planning board has been, in reliance on the opinion of the village attorney, treating the application as if the preschool use is permitted. At Wednesday night's advice of council session, the Board of Trustees also discussed whether the term quote-unquote school in the MF-0 regulations was intended to include a preschool such as Primrose School, whether or not it includes a daycare component. The board and I believe it was so intended. Signed, John Siegel. He didn't say mayor, but he was the mayor at the time. So with that said, those two issues, at least for now, are not before the planning board. And I think we brought this up before. The current code does allow for degradation of traffic but not beyond what the code says it can get, can't get worse than what's allowed in the code. And this comes up all the time, that multifamily is out of character. This was rezoned by the trustees, and that vote sailed in terms of whether multifamily is allowed here. I discussed the tree situation. It's coordinated. It's now coordinated through landscape architect Susan Nolan, and in fact the tree commission person and Susan Nolan were on the site recently. And they were almost thrown off the property, but they managed to identify themselves and conducted whatever they were doing. There's a remaining issue that's before the trustees, and that's the left-hand turn lane on Main Street as you go east up Main Street and making a left turn onto Broadway. There's a current left-hand turn lane, and the applicant is, to meet traffic standards, is extending that by 10 feet or an additional car. And when you do that, there's 2 parking places there that it gets pretty close. Our consultant, traffic engineer, PE, has indicated 12 feet is the clearance. And I'm also an engineer, and probably as an engineer, I would say, yeah, 12 feet is okay. But I'm sitting here at the planning board, and the rest of the planning board feels that that could be a choke point. And that was referred to the trustees to look at and only the trustees can remove a parking space. So that's why it was sent there. And that's scheduled to be discussed at a work session on December 10th, 2025. Now, understanding the rules of a work session, public can listen, but generally speaking, the participation is very limited, if not allowed at all. Mary Ann, is a second topic that's going to be discussed at that work session regarding the public benefit.
Yeah, this is a request that Varma made to the Board of Trustees. They had made a similar request about 6 months ago for additional coverage under the MFO regulations. You can have up to 5% additional coverage, and there's density bonus, FAR, for providing a public benefit to the village. And when they went to the board the last time, it was saying proposing the public benefit of kind of a sitting area, public sitting area in the front, and the board did not think that was enough of a public benefit to justify the coverage bonus. So Varma has to come before the board again to ask for that coverage bonus, not to make the building any bigger, but to allow for it would allow for the walkway to the walkway on site to the park light comes in, and they're also offering us a public benefit, an additional affordable unit, an additional moderate unit, and then a market rate unit. So that the Board of Trustees will consider that at a work session next Wednesday.
Okay, thank you. And
Yeah, I think I explained.
That's correct. We're proposing a total now of 53 units. One more, and part of that, it will be an additional moderate income unit. One more unit than required to obtain the moderate income bonus. And no change to the building footprint or building coverage. So we're not proposing to increase the building size, but that would result in an increase in FAR and lot coverage.
yeah, then the question is, this is 3 more new units, not converting existing units.
Correct. 3 more units.
Someone is going to ask the question, how does that affect traffic?
Very minimally, but we will have to update our traffic analysis to address that.
Okay. Where was I? Yes. We completed the post-implementation plan, and moving on from that. Site capacity, I know we calculated it and we know what it is, but we never voted on it as an official act. So we're going to do that at the next meeting. we plan to do that at the next meeting. And in order to do that at the next meeting, we'd like to see an updated application for that. And was there a fee involved in it?
Yeah, there's a check. You know the amount? That's in the code.
It
There's a
goes
fee
by
for
12
that.
units. Whatever.
Okay.
Then renotice again.
You said that quickly. Let's make sure.
Renotice every 2 months.
So you're going to renotice that? Okay.
The whole application.
Whole application, not specific.
I think I covered everything I wanted to. All right, before we open to the public, does anybody on the board have a thought?
Not right now.
Yeah.
Not at this time.
Right.
Well, I wanted, because rather than us, one suggestion in the letter had been whether or not to flip the building
Right.
to the other side. So whether you do that, instead of the building being along Strawberry Lane, it's flipped to the other side.
What's the purpose of that?
Well,
So I'm just raising it. I know that it was in the letter and she obviously can speak for herself, but I wanted to give you a heads up that we would appreciate your thoughts on whether that was or was not doable.
and I think
That would result in entire modification, drainage, the site work, the roadway. We would literally update the study to 2030 then.
I think part of the question was not do it, but did you consider it already, and why did you go with this instead of that? If you did.
Yeah, essentially we have 4 iterations of this plan since we have presented, and prior to that, we probably had 6 additional. So there's not much that we have not attempted, considering we were initially coming off of Strawberry, now we're coming off of Broadway. We were doing 2 separate buildings, 3 different variations, push forward, pull back.
It's not uncommon for people to ask, why didn't you do this configuration or different applications? Why didn't you move the house over here?
The setbacks
And
is a major.
we don't always ask, also do that. Often what we'll get is, we did consider that and here's why it didn't work. Or here's why that's a worse problem. So if you have any of that information at hand where you say, oh, we considered it and it didn't work because X, Y, Z or whatever, that would be helpful probably for the town to know, but if you don't, that's also.
I'll let Peter speak, but we probably have to have huge retaining walls because that's the very steep portion of the site is back on that side.
Yeah, it's easy to think of it as a flat site and then just flip things around and it's inverse or mirror, but it's actually not that simple at all. It starts from the road, ascent to the driveway, percentage of climb, access to underground garage is all affected just before you get to the building. The road access to the top driveway is also affected. The building situation in terms of how much cut and fill there is in the building up to the earth, how it's approached, the ground level connection with the topo that is existing, modification of the playground, the back playground, side windows, the rear windows, the door access. The entire whole site is actually pitched in two directions, west to east, and also north to south. So to do that, there's a lot of digging, pushing, pulling, and also the interior configuration would be modified for the school, as well as the approach. So we did study that at least, if not 10 different diagrams before we arrived at this. So for one reason or another, just in terms of vehicles access, emergency access, building constraints, site constraints. I know just keep in mind that the building right now is I think 50 feet from the road. It's 55 feet actually from the edge. So it's again almost 3/4 of a soccer field where the building's going to start.
You're saying there wasn't one big reason, but many smaller reasons why this made more sense.
Yeah, many smaller reasons. All cumulative to
Mike? Okay.
Yeah.
Mike, the other Mike?
Nothing else.
There was another aspect of that letter, which is sort of green roof. I have some experience with those, and they're generally used to diminish stormwater when there's a stormwater problem on the property, but you're handling stormwater and it creates structural issues. In this case, it doesn't appear to me as other than doing it for the sake of doing it, it doesn't solve a stormwater problem because they're solving that somewhere else. So, do you have any thoughts on a green roof?
We will certainly consider that in the future as we start to develop this, but we're not confirmed that that is going to be a green roof.
You'd have to change these support for the roof.
Right. And every,
The dead load goes up, and
there are a lot of factors that go into converting something to.
like I said, they've been used extensively in areas existing areas that experience flooding, like the Bronx
Right.
River. And there was a concerted effort to put green roofs on anything that was flat in the Bronx River drainage basin to try to get as much water out of the Bronx River as possible without doing major structural changes. And it was rather successful. There was a whole series of things, most of which, but it was retrofitting existing buildings required structural changes to existing buildings in many instances. Okay. Let's see. Thought I had another note here that I wanted to mention. DPW. You did the stone wall. Okay. No further questions for the board?
Well, I just wanted to mention, you asked why would there be a consideration to flip the building? And I think that the main concern is the massing that people will see from Strawberry Lane. So I see that you've tried to make some improvements, but you talked about the light gray to the dark gray, that there will be a little shadow line. I just want to get a sense of how many feet is that actual indent that you've built in now? Right, because it's not a flat.
Again, I think it's important to look at this in totality, so that most of the building, it's again, starting at 55 feet away from the road. Most houses are closer than that. The secondarily, it's
Well, let me just say,
Or you need to speak up, I mean.
most houses are closer than that, but most houses aren't the length of that building. So you can't compare it to,
also, it's fully screened along the side, so that's another factor.
Well, I was going to ask that. You have what the screening looks like from the front.
Yeah, this is it. This is Strawberry. This is the
Actual.
Yeah.
This is actual. So that's the distance from this road. This is a constructed rendering. It's not.
Yeah.
okay, I can't, I do not agree that is fully screened. It's screened, but I don't think it's fair to call it fully screened.
Okay.
Could you work with Susan Nolan and build up that screening? So,
I mean, I think the architecture, is we're trying to create a pleasant architecture. The intent is not to have something you'd hide like a DPW facility that would be screened. So the glimpses of an attractive building through trees is I think attractive.
We'll make an attempt to.
Yeah. But so the screen that's there is going to remain, and we're going to fill in as best we can with Susan Nolan dancing around the building to kind of obscure the plans would be.
to anybody stopped at the light heading south on Broadway and looked up to the east and saw the back end of 140 North Broadway. Big brick barracks that you see. When I started in the planning board, I vowed that would never happen while I'm sitting here. So this is a vast improvement from that. And I recall we asked and you complied with adding some additional architectural features to take that barracks looks away. So the next best thing is to take another look at that and see what you can do with more screening and perhaps additional architectural features.
Yes. We'll do.
Okay, anything else? Or,
No, thank you.
I have nothing.
Nothing, Mike?
Nothing. Nope.
Anything on Zoom, Sarah?
Nobody's raising their hand to speak, and there are no comments in the chat.
Is there by chance anybody in person who might want to talk? Wow, shocked.
Asia Tracht, 20 Strawberry Lane, also that woman was in the email. No signature.
Get closer to the microphone, please.
I apologize if.
By the way, it was a
this is
pleasant
close.
meeting you at the
Yeah.
Legends there.
So a bunch of concerns. I appreciate the planning board addressing issues that I raised in my letter. As you said, the bulk of the building facing Strawberry Lane, where the residents live, that's going to be possibly screened by the vegetation. But still, I would like to urge planning board and the applicant to consider strongly, and maybe planning board requiring applicant to flip the building in a different direction. That would absolutely change the appearance from the Strawberry Lane and would be so much more appropriate for the site, in my opinion. Of course, some other things, the noise. As you might know, my house is right behind that building. The presence of the second playground in the back, all my bedroom windows are facing, all bedrooms are facing the property of Maxim property, and having the playground literally in front of my bedrooms, that is with the playground open 7 to 7 p.m. and also available on other days and other times for the use by the residents. That just basically the noise level you can only imagine, right? I mean, this would be tremendous. I would urge the planning board to assess the need for that second playground. They already have one playground in the first in the front of the building, so putting it in the additional playground in the back would have absolutely detrimental effect on my residents. Same goes for the roof access for the residents. First of all, what is the need to have the roof open to the residents? It's not really common in this neighborhood. It's why is that necessary? And also the level of noise at different times of hours. I understand there may be limitation, but still, this is additional level of noise. And also probably on the weekends, in addition to other times that the building is occupied and the playgrounds are being used. So those are the main concerns. The view preservation, of course, meaning from my house, I have a fantastic view of the Hudson River, and I would like to see how this building is, I believe it would impede that. I would like to see some, maybe more details about how it will look. Somehow, my house is not represented in any of the renderings at all. I mean, it's there. It will be helpful to see where it is in the relationship. I think it makes sense, right? Some of the other houses are sort of, schematically placed on the renderings, but I don't remember if my house has ever been even put in a picture. If you could go, if the applicant could go back to the plan, the plans for the renderings of the plantings that had you used earlier today. Could you please scroll over to that?
The view from Broadway?
No, actually, the schematic.
You want the overhead view?
The landscaping, right? I'm sorry. Yes, the landscaping schematic that you had that said that it had 811 on it. I just wanted to look back at that. The one that
I think it had blue circles on it.
they have like 811 in large letters on the lower. Yes, that one. Oh. No, maybe that's not that one. Yes, this one. Thank you. So, so the back of the building is obviously abutting my property line very closely. There's this forest plants I mean, I haven't had a chance to look exactly what those trees or shrubs are going to be, but there's a lot. So, and I'm not sure if they're going to be tall plants or not. I will have to look or maybe go over this in detail by myself, but maybe with Susan Nolan or to see like, is this going to grow? This is also elevated compared to the building's location. So is it going to grow into a forest that will completely eliminate the view? That's my concern as well.
I would certainly. I would certainly be happy to reduce any plantation if you want to work with Susan and come to an understanding with her what your desires are. We can certainly look to appease you in that sense.
We have conflicting purposes.
Yeah, I realize that. So I said work with
too many trees, not enough trees. We're gonna.
It's just that I need
Susan to match to get that proper blend of screening versus obstruction.
Right.
And I mean, she is a licensed architect, so we're going to depend on that.
Also, the evergreens or the as you said, pines along Strawberry, as Walter mentioned in the previous meeting, they're at the end of their life. So, and he's concerned that they're going to be a danger to the wall or the surround the Strawberry Lane. And they are represented in most of the renderings, and as to stay, I believe Walter asked to consider that they be exchanged for different ones. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. One more thing.
One more word. So how I would like a response from planning board concerning the noise, the playground positioning in the back of the building and immediate vicinity, and also the access, the presence of that the roof that allows access of residents.
Well, the response is that, which I already reiterated, is the restrictions in the eventual permit, if there is an eventual permit, the restrictions of time, use of time and use by whom, and how, and hours, and I think that's our response to it. The response is not going to be you can't use the roofs. There will be restrictions to use the roof. I haven't seen, unless someone else has seen, a need to ban the use of the roofs.
No, I wouldn't ban it. I would restrict it. I think that's.
Yeah, I agree. The restrictions are needed on the roof.
Mike,
I agree.
Mike,
I agree. I did have a question on how, if it's been discussed, how you would force hours on the roof.
Generally, all buildings have restricted access.
Right. So is it just hours, or is there automatic locking doors, or someone who locks them who works?
If residents have their own private balcony, which some of them do, there is a ordinance in the building that you can.
So I'm more talking about roof decks, right?
So roof decks are going to be controlled access if they are for the general building.
What do you mean by controlled access?
They would not be able to access that portion off the roof because there will be gates. The doors will be automatically locked up to a certain point, and then also there is building bylaws, which essentially.
The automatic locks was more what I was wondering.
Yeah, and that stands for a lot of portions.
Great.
I heard your concern about the playground. I want to say that I don't think that the noise from the playground is as loud and impactful as you actually might imagine. I live right near a school. I hear the band. I hear the kids doing sports. I hear everything. And it's not as, it's much different when there's a PA system and it's homecoming week and they have announcements constantly. But the noise from a playground for small children, there are probably studies for it. It's not as obscene as you're imagining that it might be.
Are you like 75 feet away from the playground?
I'm not near a playground. I'm near a school with.
Well, I'm
much
saying
bigger,
the area where the children
I
are
just,
outside.
I don't know the last time you spent time maybe at Matheson or any of the playgrounds here, but it's not, you know, like a rock concert. I think you'd be surprised.
I don't want to be surprised.
So in a good way,
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
good
I
way.
understand what you're saying, Lori.
And the benefit of the playground for, you know, for children and just people in general, I think is something that you wouldn't want to deny them actually.
It's okay, but why in that location? That's the thing. Like, why in that particular location? Why not in the other location? And also another thing about the roof of access for residents. Is it something common in Irvington that we have roof access for residents? Is it like, common to have it?
Well, people have outdoor decks, right? And those are raised.
But I'm talking about the
So-
building with roof access
It's
on
so
top of it.
None of us feel a ban on it is necessary. In terms of the playground at my co-op, which I'm the president of,
Uh-huh.
we have 2 playgrounds that are 10 feet away from shareholders' windows, and I haven't heard it. I mean, 2 large playgrounds.
And maybe there's an opportunity with playground equipment to cushion noise. I don't know. I haven't really seen that, but you know, if they're fenced in, there might be an opportunity to have a noise dampening effect.
And thinking about noise, there's another facility that was looking to put an outdoor deck on. And the music issue and the thumping of the modern music can be deafening. Include music issues. You're not going to have Bose 20-inch speakers blasting out rap music or whatever music. That thumping sound. You ever get next to a car at a stoplight and your eardrums are getting penetrated by the car next door? Anyway, okay. Tony.
We do have one hand raised, also for you.
Okay.
Anthony Alton, you're on One Meadowbrook Road. Couple of things. The email that was distributed today, would it be possible for the board to include in the record the entire email chain that was part of this? Because this is only a portion of the email that Marianne shared with me, and the entire email chain should really be part of the record. So there's interesting information in there that I think everybody should see.
Sure.
Okay.
We'll talk to Marianne about that. It's just.
It's in the public domain. She gave it to me.
We'll talk to Marianne.
I think that what you want is your email to the board and what else?
No. Which
When you say the email chain.
there's 2 topics in there.
This email, there was a email thread starting with Marianne's email to you with some analysis, your email to the mayor, expressing your thoughts about that, and which resulted in them having a meeting and considering some of these issues, and then the mayor submitting this email. It's all email thread, just saying it shared with me. I think it should be shared with everybody.
And I'm asking you, what email threads are you talking about? You
This
clearly your
one.
email, no, clearly
No,
your.
my email wasn't part of the thread. It's just this email thread. It's Marianne's email.
Well, Mary Ann's email,
To
I'm not waiving whatever privilege that might.
That's
I think
right.
what
It's
I
been
think what
submitted to
he's
me.
saying, it was in the, whatever I sent to him.
Oh,
was
that's
in
all.
there, so-
Oh, that's fine.
That's all I'm saying, because I just want everybody to have it.
I didn't understand.
And then you, as it relates to the 2 issues that we're discussing here, you said tonight that it was behind you, at this point. And I just, maybe this is a question really for you. Does that mean we have now a formal determination on these 2 issues that we can now have an appeal to the
If you
CBA?
can find the word determination, I'm glad to hear it.
Well, I'm asking if that's what this constitutes,
That's our
now that you
answer.
have the,
That's our answer.
What's your answer to
You're
what?
holding it in your hand.
That this is a formal determination?
I didn't say that. I said your answer is you're holding it in your hand.
Okay, but
No, I would say that you can't appeal, a zoning board decision, I'm sorry, a board of trustees decision to the zoning board.
okay, so when the zoning,
The zoning board would not have
so
jurisdiction.
the board of trustees is providing their belief as to what these two issues are.
What they're providing is the legislative intent of the MFO
But they want
regulations.
the board of trustees
The
that were,
board of trustees, yes, and
it's a different board wrote the statute, but that's beside the point. Anyway, all right, so this is not a final
It is
determination.
what it is. You can call it whatever you want. I'm not.
No, I'm asking
getting
the
in line.
technical question,
And
whether
I
or not
think
it gives rise to an
Unless you
appeal,
want to
that's
get
all.
to something different.
I answered, it
Okay,
doesn't.
so it's not.
We answered that. That's what the trustees said. We're moving on.
So we're not, so we don't have a final determination. That's what we're
We're
saying.
moving on. What you have in your hand is the answer.
Okay, thank you. And so you're not willing to then ask the building inspector to render an actual interpretation?
I must have said this 1,000 times.
Asking
The volunteer, unpaid person sitting there. I don't order anybody to do anything.
Nobody's ordering anyone. I'm saying asking, just like you've asked
Don't do that
Diane
either.
for an opinion.
The answer is in there. Unless you have something further to say, I think this discussion is over.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else who might opine?
Karen Donahue, South Ferris. I wanted to say thanks for letting us have the work session, which is next Wednesday, December 10th. So,
Speaking to the microphone, please.
yes, I'm the one. Oh my God, you got me, Ed.
And it's at 7:30, not 7, the usual time. It's at 7:30.
7:30. Oh, yeah, I see the difference. See, you could tell. Okay. So my question is, because we can't really ask questions there or speak, do you know when there would be the next session where you could ask questions of the trustees?
Well,
on these topics?
Yeah, if the board decides to eliminate the parking spaces or whatever, they would do that they'd have to take a vote on it at the regular meeting,
Okay. So this is personal because my daughter's flying in. So I just want to schedule this. Is it going to be that? You don't know.
I don't
right?
know. I mean, and they may, I don't know that it would be the 15th. They may decide not to do anything, but if they did, it might not be the 15th. Maybe they have too many other things on the agenda. You won't know until the 10th.
Well, so we would know on the 10th.
Think.
Ish, maybe. Okay. All right. Well, that's helpful. So I appreciate what you know. So that's helpful.
Keep an eye on the trustees' agenda because they have a detailed
Yeah.
agenda of what they're voting.
It'll
on.
have these details about this issue.
I've seen the agendas for the trustees and it's rather detailed in what they're voting on.
Okay. Okay. And then I have a comment. And it occurred to me when you were speaking about the playground and the noise. And I just wanted to share, if I can explain this, but there's a difference between just peace and silence that we don't get enough of in this world. And especially to me personally, it's very important in the morning. Just I'm awake way too early, but I just appreciate there's peace and quiet, that there's not, fire horns and lawnmowers and I'm getting used to the clock finally. But there's a peace and quiet quality that's really, it's so precious. And so it's hard to articulate, hard to regulate. I mean, I just want to just say that. So yeah, maybe kids playing isn't so loud, but if you're just trying to, whatever, you do in the morning, it's just valuable. And I think I would appreciate, I appreciate the issue if I was living next to a playground and I don't know what to do about it, but I just want to share that precious time.
I would imagine the fire horn gives you a joke.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Yes.
Talk about peace and quiet.
Yes.
I was standing there one day, I almost jumped out of my skin.
It's crazy. It is crazy. So,
Thank you.
but anyways, thank you.
Good evening, Dave Osborne, 93 North Broadway. I love living in Irvington. Irvington is a lovely town. I understand that there's a, zoning change. We have this MFO zone that can permit multifamily construction. I posit that it is fundamentally inconsistent with the scenic character of the town to have a building like this where it's going to be. Thank you.
Well, as I said in the preamble to, before we opened it up, that the trustees did that, they rezoned it. And to say it's inconsistent, you need to look at both 120 and 140 to see what the character of Broadway is. And one of the things the trustees did with the zoning is, and the applicant complied. Their first application was to have the long part of their presentation parallel to Broadway. And the zoning was made so that they could put the long part perpendicular to Broadway, so you wouldn't see the long part of a complex from Broadway. And they changed the initial presentation was the building was parallel to Broadway, and then they changed it the other way. So they are there is an effort to make it consistent. And if you compare this to 120 and 140, I think we're in the right direction. And in terms of your comment about the zoning that allows this, we didn't do that. The trustees did that many years ago. And they didn't do it lightly. If I remember, it was over a 2 or 3 year period discussing the zoning change that resulted in what we now have. Anybody else? Peter.
Hi.
Good evening.
Peter McCallick, Strawberry Lane.
It was also a pleasure to see you at the Legends dinner.
Likewise, yeah. It was actually a little odd seeing you outside of this room.
So then you saw how tall I was.
Yeah. Did I understand correctly that will there be another audio study, a revised version of the one from January?
I'm not sure what.
There was a noise impact study from January. Is that?
Oh, I think this, we're gonna, I don't think so. They're just gonna do the restrictions that we asked for.
Okay, that was so long ago, that was still a 2-building development where the playground was in the middle or in the front. There was just the one playground. So it really would never have even considered the impact of having a rear playground, which is what we're looking at now.
Let me ask Mary Ann. We did the seeker review.
Yeah, no, but we're not, I mean, it's not an unreasonable request. I think that they could, have to do a whole new noise study, but it probably wouldn't be that.
To amend it.
So, yeah, have them say what the decibel or whatever levels are gonna be from the playground in there. I mean, if you want to request it, I do not think that would be.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's not that difficult.
While we're on that, I just want to say, and this is something you mentioned, Asa. Are you able to cite where her house is on your plan? 20 Strawberry Lane. I think that would be helpful for the next meeting.
I can do it. I'll show it in the meeting, not just in again, it's not a flat site, so parallel.
Yes.
And depth.
Yeah.
There's-
I'm not,
there's a
yeah.
Difference in height, away from the building, distance in breadth away from the building. We can show even the viewpoints away higher than it's higher than this building, so. we'll see what-
I think that would be helpful. Thank you.
I'm curious about the purpose of that walkway that leads to the south towards the entrance with Strawberry Lane. I don't think I see any caption on it.
Well, it's still pending, the results of the presentation at the 10th regarding the
Hawk Light.
the Hawk Light, the public benefit, because the Hawk Light will be at that corner, so it's reasonable to have a sidewalk that goes to the Hawk Light so that people walking from the complex to town can walk down the sidewalk that goes to that corner and utilize the Hawk Light, as opposed to current sidewalk, which dumps you in the middle of nowhere.
I'm sorry, I think I was talking about the different walkway, which is, I don't think has come up. It's a concrete staircase that leads from the southern tip of the building in the direction of the Strawberry Lane entrance.
On there? You see it?
Not on that landscaping plan, but it's on all the other civil drawings.
Can you bring up one of the other, please?
You know,
Just point when, Peter, when you see it.
you know what he's talking about?
Probably a fire access walkway that we're
Yeah,
working on.
exactly.
And there's some more details coming.
We're working with Ed and Doug on this. That's some of the fire issues we alluded to earlier. So, it's if they enter from one side, there's a
Yeah, you can
level
see it
change.
there. It's quite small, but
You put a cursor on it and, yeah. And that's not for public access and.
Yeah.
so is there really any non-emergency use of that staircase for getting onto Strawberry Lane?
No.
That'd be like a fire door. If you push the handle, the alarm goes off.
There's no public access from Strawberry Lane for vehicles here. Nobody's gonna come here. This is only emergency access only. And if the emergency vehicles access this way, this is a staircase that goes to the pathway that walks around the building. That's it.
Okay, thank you. And I think while we're in that area, I'm just curious how it's going to work with the fall prevention for the retaining walls, right? So you're showing 4 6.5 foot high retaining walls tiered. How are you going to prevent people from falling off of them? I see that you have the caption saying that fencing will be provided by others, but hard to understand how that's actually going to look. Will there be one fence that basically sections off that whole side and rear yard, or are there going to be individual fences along each retaining wall?
It's to be explored and worked out with Ed's office, and actually those fences would be below the wall and the existing height of the shrubs out there anyway. We would see them.
Right, but I mean, if you wanted to actually live there, right, you would have what, conceivably 4 rings of chain link fence in your yard. It would make the yard pretty much inaccessible for recreation.
We're gonna work this out with Ed. There's several architectural solutions and building code things we're applying.
How would that work with the height restrictions, right? You can only have 6.5 feet retaining walls in the side yard setback. Put a chain link fence on top of a retaining wall, doesn't that actually increase the size of the building?
I'm not even saying we need a fence at this point. We're gonna look at the building code, work with Ed.
I think that's all gonna be worked out in.
Yeah, we're not there yet to even start designing that and reviewing that. We're still in the middle of emergency access. We still have a lot of coverage issues that are fine tuning. This walkway that they're going to the trustees for is got to get resolved. There's stuff down the road that still has to get done.
Yeah, okay.
And
the construction details on the stone wall. It's cutting the wall. We don't know how they're cutting the wall. There's all these details that are still pending, but you can't get the details done until you get a little bit further on the site plan that's in front of you now.
Okay, yeah, it's just that it's a non-traffic night, and so I'm just trying to catch up on some of the other issues. So, I guess
Peter, what is your concern that you do or don't want them to do there?
So I guess it's two concerns, right? I've spoken a couple of times in email about just the visual impact of putting a bunch of retaining walls where there's now slopes. So I think I've said this basically a 35, 40-foot drop for that those people living in the southeast corner of that building are going to be basically at the bottom of a pit, which seems like very un-Irvingtonian. So when it's all said and done, I think I certainly would appreciate a view of what that part of the site looks like, because it feels like it's shaping up to be basically a no man's land of walls and fences, very utilitarian. Again, it just seems like that could be avoided somehow.
Take a look at it, if you would, please. Okay, anything else?
Yeah, so there was a question about, I don't quite think that Ozzy's question about the rear playground was actually answered. Is it necessary? And I say that because for the first 6 months, there was one playground, it was 4,000 square feet. And we had two playgrounds, I think it was about 6,000 square feet. We're now at the two playgrounds and 10,000 square feet, commercial playground. They also have a rec area on the top floor of the daycare. So as far as I can tell, their OCFS requirements are met. Just
What requirements?
the Office of Children and Family Services, the daycare licensors, they only require one outdoor playground. They also require, I think they also encourage indoor recreational space. But as far as I can tell, there's no OCFS requirement to have two playgrounds. So is it superfluous or not? I think that helps in a way of understanding the noise impact, right? If that's your house, I think it's more understandable to know that that's a necessary playground that you're hearing, rather than just something that was there because they felt like they needed the space. And I would just remind you that that is the location of the mansion. That 175-year-old mansion is being demolished for that playground. So I think.
I don't think it's as simple as that.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I know I'm being a little dramatic there, but still, I think I would like to know if that's a necessary playground or just something that he wants to. That just seems like a nice bonus.
Well, is a playground necessary or is it not? Is it required? That's up to them to decide.
The first one
And
is.
to put it in perspective, if I recall, Mary Ann, Ed, you can correct me. The trustees changed the rules about play areas in backyards. It doesn't come before the planning.
Very rare, only in rare situations.
Yeah. You have to read the book carefully, but this is in business district.
No, yeah, but I think
I know,
his
I'm just
point
saying,
is just generally,
in
they
general.
really relaxed the rules.
Oh,
Is all-
without a doubt, they
They
relaxed the rules.
relaxed the rules. It's
So-
only in a rare situation. that it would come.
Put it in perspective, I'm just saying, the trustees saw fit to change the rules to allow playgrounds just about anywhere. But not in certain zoning. Okay, go ahead.
Just wondering about the hawk signal. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I was a little slow on the uptake here. I did not understand that 2 months ago, Carlito wrote to the board saying that they did not think that they had enough pedestrian traffic to warrant hawk signal. And then, as I understand it, that there was in the later submission, it sounded like they talked to you. You thought that there was an avenue to getting the hawk signal. Can I just ask where you got that? Well, could you just repeat, I guess, tell us how you did that analysis? Where did we get from 5 expected pedestrians to, I think, 10 is the number they came up?
Sure. So I think it was a misunderstanding of the requirements, the threshold to have a hawk signal. So I believe it was previously believed that you needed 20 pedestrians per hour for 8 hours. However, the MUTCD, the Federal Highway Administration's Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, states that it's really only 20. You only need 20 pedestrians in an hour to warrant a crossing at this location, a hawk signal at this location. Based on my calculations, I think it was a couple months ago that I wrote this. I believe you only need about five students crossing at this location in order to warrant a hawk signal. So that would be a student and a parent crossing one way, and then the parent coming back the other way. So maybe, and they were also generating 5 pedestrians from the residential area. So previously they were only considering pedestrians generated by the residential units. My argument was you would be potentially introducing students and parents crossing there as well. And even beyond that, you could potentially be diverting people from Sunnyside, from Heritage over to this crosswalk. Because right now, maybe folks are crossing up there and then walking along the road. But if there's a mid-block opportunity that's safe and protected, this would be a good opportunity. So you would, even with 5 students and their parents plus 5 residents crossing at this location, you could potentially add other people in. So therefore, you would potentially well meet that 20. That was my logic. And Carlito, if you have anything to add there, feel free to chime in.
Now, there's also, which we didn't think of initially, was the contribution from Abbott House. There's pedestrian traffic up there. And there is 50 some odd residential units that if there's a place to cross, the idea to make it walker friendly is to eliminate someone taking their car to get to downtown from the new development, 50 some odd units, instead of taking the car to go to bank, walk and have a safe way to walk down the sidewalk to a hawk light and down Broadway to wherever they're going. So it's quite a contribution between Abbott House, people that already live on Strawberry and North, and the projected 50 some odd residential units, in addition to the school people.
Thank you very much. I think one point I would like to come back to maybe at another meeting is I think the DTS analysis projected 10 crossings an hour. That's when you then ask them to measure the impact of the crosswalk. I believe that they looked at 10 an hour, and so it seems a little weird that they're doing 10 an hour, but looks like the threshold is actually 20 an hour.
So the number that you're getting is not the number of pedestrians crossing. It's rather, I believe you're pulling that from the Synchro file or maybe the report. 10 is the number of times that a pedestrian would come up there and push the push button. So for instance, if it's a student and their parent, you would see them push the push button and you would have 2 people cross. So therefore, even though it's counted as one actuation of the traffic signal, of the hawk signal, it is 2 pedestrians crossing. Hopefully that explains it.
I see it. Thank you. In one of the renderings from a distance, it could just be my imagination, but it looked like there was a door over the garage in that kind of watercolory rendering, where you're looking at the okay.
Imagination.
Okay, great. And then we spoke informally outside about a year ago. I told you about the previous developer's plans to potentially get an easement from 88 North Broadway that would allow that developer to avoid having to go into the wall on Broadway. They would basically be able to use the existing entrance at 88 North Broadway and come into this 76 North Broadway site from the north, which has some logic to it. I just came across language in this guide for developers that the Westchester County Planning Board released this year, actually encouraging driveway connections to be provided to adjacent sites when possible, and then getting cross easements provided. Since the code says that the wall should only be broken when it's absolutely necessary, I was just wondering if anything ever happened there. If it hasn't, would you mind approaching the owner of 88 North Broadway to see what might be possible?
It's the property.
Microphone.
You're referring to the office building next to this?
Mhm.
Yes, we did contact them. They said no.
You mind if I ask, was that about a potential sale of the property or the actual easement? They said no, that's
All of it.
specifically. All right, well, thank you for trying. Yeah. Chairman Freddie, you referred to that 140 North Broadway property a couple of times. And the other thing about that I don't particularly care for is that there's no front. You don't see the front of the building. It's basically the posterior of the building is facing the front of Broadway. And there's something vaguely disorienting about that. I feel like something similar is happening here with this project, especially because, I mean, you can't actually access the front door as a pedestrian. You have to go through the garage, basically, or the door next to the garage. And that just seems like a very, if you live in the building, I imagine that would get pretty old, that you would have to go into the garage just to leave your own apartment. I mean, this isn't New York City, right? I mean, we have front doors here, and people tend to use them. And I guess on top of that, the board, there's no front facade. You don't know what part of the building you're actually looking at from the street. Does that bother you as well?
Well, I can certainly say that this building doesn't bother me at all compared to 140.
Okay.
And that's just on a comparison basis.
Okay, and then I guess finally, I was wondering when we can expect the contract with the seller without the reductions.
Marianne, I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, I mean, one of the requirements in the code is that for site plan approval, that they have to submit the contract if they're not the owner of the property. And they did submit it. There's a lot of redactions in it. I think the code says something about you can redact the price or something. There were more redactions, but what I think I would like the applicant to do is send me the I see the contract, explain what the redactions are. It may well be that there are other reasons this stuff is redacted. So I meant to ask you for that. Send that to me, and then if I think something shouldn't be redacted or whatever, because the planning board always has, while the code says, you can redact the price, the code also says that the planning board has the right to waive any of the requirements. So if for someone, let's say there was something really sensitive in there, I'm not going to know what the sensitive thing is, but they'll explain to me why it's sensitive. You could say, yeah, that doesn't happen. That's redaction was fair. I think that's the best writing.
Okay. I'm curious what Mr. Peters looking for from the contract.
What did
No, Mr. Peter, what did
he want? There were a lot more redactions in there than just the price.
No, I understand that.
Okay.
But my question is, what is Mr. Peter looking for in the contract?
It's not just the redactions, actually, because they also left out a fair amount of the appendices. They only gave one. And as for what I'm looking for, it's actually just right there in the site plan approval statute that this is a requirement for the application to be considered complete.
So it's the answer to Rocco's question is nothing specific. You're just looking to make sure the application is complete.
Yeah, I mean, I also have my, some confidence in that the people who introduced that reform back in the 80s had something in mind.
Okay.
I don't think they would have put it there for no reason at all.
Yeah, although generally, I would say 98% of the applications that come before the planning board are single-family houses, and that's about the only thing you would ever, would be sensitive would be the price. But when it's a corporate contract, it's different.
Anything else?
I'm sorry, but I do actually my favorite topic, I was relieved to see that the number of supports on the Strawberry Lane wall was corrected to 8 from 4. So the other part of that was that there is that sliver of public easement on the north side of the property. That that's the prescriptive easement, the public easement. Can we expect to see that sometime soon?
I'm not sure what that question. You
I'm going back to my emails from January, February, March.
you
Okay, I mean, I guess the short version of it is that in 1979, the planning board recognized a prescriptive public easement along the northern border of the
okay.
property. And that is, it does play into the site capacity calculation.
Ed, the easement in terms of calculating site capacity.
So
It's microphone.
I'm trying to see past Peter, but he's, thank you. The sewer easement, water easement, or the access easement?
Okay, so in their very first application, they included a copy of the 1979 variance from the ZBA, and it specifically refers to prescriptive public easement along the northern border of that property. And it is a condition for that variance that they maintain, or that they keep it. I can't remember the exact wording.
I mean, it's been many, many months ago, but the site capacity talks about only deducting access easements. There are no access easements of record. There's no record easement of this. I think what's being referred to as a special permit grant in the 70s for a use that's no longer there. So there's no requirement that that condition of a special permit continue if the actual use isn't there. It's not a recorded easement. It's not an access easement.
It doesn't have to be an access, it has to be an access easement, which it is. It's a pedestrian easement. So it is an easement of access, and it doesn't actually have to be a formal easement. There are plenty of easements that are not recorded easements. And so the site capacity calculation statute says only that it has to be an easement. This is an easement.
Well,
Which, yeah, and this is an easement of access, pedestrian access.
Instead of arguing access and utility, we'll take a look at it, and our lawyer will look at it.
I already did. We went over this months ago.
Yeah.
I was not in, as far as I know, I was not in there.
Yeah.
You talked to me about it.
Remember having the discussion about it, that it was not an access easement. It was about a year ago.
In connection with this application?
Yeah.
No, I'm afraid not. On what basis is it not an access easement?
They're going to submit an application for site capacity, and Ed and
Ed and I both looked at
will
it.
look at it.
Peter, let's do this, because it's been a while. You send a single card, 2-sentence request to look at this, with whatever backup you think is relevant for us to look further into this for you. They've done a title search, so
it would never be in a title search because it's not a recorded easement.
Right. The records are limited for that time period for the village. By the way, I'll have stuff for you next week. It just won't be as organized as you think it will be, but it will have everything, almost everything for the building department anyway. The ZBA wasn't held at the building department until the 90s, so I'm not sure what we have for you. But I will look again through the files, find some stuff for you anyway. And we'll see if we can find something new. But without anything, without giving us more direction in 2 sentences as possible on this one issue, I'll spend a little more time on it. Happy to, but I'm not guaranteeing it because I just don't know what we have.
And you said it yourself that it's not recorded. It's difficult to accept something that's not recorded.
It was enough for the 1979 planning board. That's all I'm saying.
before my time.
I hate to be dramatic, but you can't depart from that
And if you can
precedent.
demonstrate what piece of paper that from 1979 that said that, that's fine.
Okay, it's in their own application.
Okay, we'll take a look at it. Mary Ann's gonna take a look at it.
Cut and paste that one section out too. We'll make another concentrated effort.
Thanks everyone for your time.
Is there anyone else? You got a hand raised? Thank you.
It's, Chris Lando.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, this is Chris Lando at 3 Ardsley Avenue East. I have one comment, but just quickly one question. With the change in the construction timeline going to 2029, I know that there was a comment in the last meeting that I attended that the Complete Streets Route 9 project is not being considered because of the hypothetical nature of it at this stage. But I guess my question is, as that has continued to advance and there are more and more concrete drafts of plans and a timeline that overlaps with this construction timeline and the latest materials, at what point of that project's development would a revised traffic study be required to contemplate that foreseeable outcome of the Complete Streets project?
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you.
I think the project is at least 10, 20 years in the future, at least, if it does end up happening. The analysis was already conducted with a sensitivity analysis of the Complete Streets, with the roundabout scenario and the lane reduction. Also, as Carlito has stated in previous meetings, DOT is analyzing this as part of their process as well. So they are considering all the traffic volumes from this development. They have their latest numbers and study. In terms of Caesar, I don't know if you have anything to add there. I think they're very early in the planning stages, and it's really hard at the moment to speculate whether or not it's going to happen.
Sorry, but the latest documents include a complete plan and a complete timeline to have the entire project constructed between 2027 and 2029. It's quite detailed. I paid a lot of attention because my property is impacted and there's references to it. So I would just ask that we consider that, because it appears, thankfully, to be more imminent and actionable than a multi-decade project. It seems like it could be done in the next handful of years.
So
Federal government doesn't do things like that. I'm sorry, I disagree.
Yeah, they would be heavily relying on federal funding for a project like this. It's very costly, and the federal government, at least in this administration, is unlikely to fund a project like this, which is reducing travel lanes. But again, I would like to emphasize that the applicant has already analyzed the scenario and found only degradations to their own driveway, not on Broadway at all or any other intersection. They also, DOT has been analyzing this as part of their planning process.
Okay. So separate from that, just a comment on this version, as I understand it, is a new rendering of a different aesthetic of the building. Just a few comments on my view of the conformity and the importance of the code and the district as it was drafted. I think in terms of the historic relevance of Broadway and the stone wall, this is one of the oldest roads in the country, formerly known as the Albany Post Road, and you can still see the mile markers in certain parts in Irvington, which is very cool. And the stone walls, part of what's nice about them is not just their historic charm, but the total impracticality of them today is part of what makes them worth preserving. No one will ever seek to build a wall like that again, because we have better, more modern materials, and therefore any destruction of them is that's it. You're not likely to get a new one. So it's an endangered species of architecture, and I think that's an important element of the historic considerations of the zoning code, understanding that the applicant has pursued a number of different ways of preserving them, but as was mentioned by the previous commenter, I do think it needs a high level of scrutiny. I think as it relates to the aesthetic qualities of the building, understanding that the comments for the board were comparative, I don't think that the code is drawing on a comparative to the worst example of pre-existing architecture, but it's referencing the better qualities of the architecture and the historic architecture that existed on on Broadway in general. I would contend that this doesn't meet the ask. It's not the best we could do for reasons others have articulated. And unfortunately, what we'll contend with if you approve a project like this is a cascading effect where you continue to dilute the quality of the aesthetics of the neighboring buildings. And everyone can look to the prior example, and all of a sudden, the beautiful old buildings that are not really economically viable to make in the manner that they were made in the past are not going to be retained, preserved, and will have a very different aesthetic. Now, maybe that's okay, but I don't think it's okay as the board wrote in their description of this this new district. And just one other comment that ties into a lot of the things that people are talking about. And there was a comment that was raised to one of my other questions a few months ago when I was commenting. Many of the decisions are justified by means of whatever maximizes the economic viability of this particular project. And I'm a capitalist. I believe in people should make a living, make money, but we have a system of constrained optimization. And if something can't work within the constraints imposed, then it's not viable, and you don't nudge the rules because someone's not able to make a profit under those rules. And I'm making a general statement that I think is very important, because oftentimes I feel like the answers and the concessions to bend what is clear and plain language are in favor of causing something to become viable where the plain writing of the various statutes would preclude it. And I think that's a big and serious problem with this project, and it's something that frustrates me greatly as someone who both respects people's rights to do what they want with their property, but also respects that what is written down is written in plain language, and that needs to dictate what decisions get taken.
Well, your comment that the rules are being bent to accommodate, if anything, we're being, in my opinion, and the rest of the board feels this way, being overly conservative, and if anything, the rules are being bent to make it more compliant with the meaning. And we've gone out of our way to find out what that meaning was, and reverting back to the trustees. And we got our answer from the mayor and the trustees. I bet it was a different set of trustees, but they gave us an answer that the code is the code, and this is all within the code. If you have a specific reason or a specific point that you'd like to articulate, that this board or our village attorney or exceeded the rules that are on paper, I'll be happy
I
to hear.
think most simply the redefining of a simple term school, which legal definition, there are a lot of legal distinctions between daycares and schools. So reinterpreting a plain word and saying that that's the final word, when the proper way to address ambiguity is to write more clearly. But I don't think the writing is ambiguous, and I think that what was described is incorrect. We don't need to argue it because you've said your piece.
We're not going to argue it because the argument was settled with the memo from the mayor. And so it's as far as this board, as far as this board is concerned, that matter is settled.
No, I understand that. I'm saying I disagree. I think that there's been a number of other points that are raised that are qualitative, but where, you know, we're accommodating something that is not, to many of the people who have commented on many of these different meetings, not in keeping with the character of the village, not harmonious with the village. These are terms with which, you know, it's the collective understanding of adjectives, but they meant something at a certain
Okay.
time and they mean something to such certain people. And I've
Thank you very
described.
much. We've been at this for a year and a half, and a lot of the things you're talking about have been addressed. Maybe not to your liking, but you know, there's someone once said, a public forum like this, there's a right to be heard and not necessarily a right to prevail. So we had plenty of right to be heard. We attempted to accommodate as many points as possible. There's things in the code that some of the comments did not prevail. But I like to think those are a minimum. And thank you very much. And it's 10:10, and I'd like to close the meeting. Thank you for your cooperation. Anybody else in the room? Anybody on Zoom? Oh, Peter, yeah, I just heard. Hope it's important.
Just, do you have a sense of what we can? Just wondering what you have a roadmap in mind for the next couple of months? Just no idea, like traffic next time around or anything.
I think other than which we're going to internally discuss because we were unaware of the 2%, you heard what we were talking about.
Yes.
The build out to 29 or not leave it at 27, to require them to recalculate that. That is pending, and we'll get that. Also pending is the trustees on the parking spaces. There's going to be a work plan, a work session, and then if they decide to eliminate those parking spaces, they have to do that in a public forum, public hearing at a trustee meeting. So those are the only things that you look at in the future right now.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else going once, going twice? Sarah, anybody? Going 3 times. All right, the meeting of December 3rd is